night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another turn, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Everything's alright when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Giving the world light when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Sometimes things are just absurd, so let's just talk about the world, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night.
People of the night.
Let's just talk about the world, give this page another curl, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. Whether you're watching us from your condo in the sky, or your cabin in the woods, or just couch surfing, or maybe in a road trip on the backseat of a car, or relaxing on your lazy boy. People of the night, welcome to Mike in the Night. It's 3 a.m. and something's moving you. So crack open a window, sit back, relax, get some coffee or tea. Got myself some lemon water here. And sit back, relax, because you're tuned in to Mike in the Night, the voice of the Commonwealth, broadcasting from some cloning center here. Kind of keep it under wraps. Mike in the Night always has to be broadcasting from a very obscure location, so I won't be found or tracked down. Okay, guys, we are dropping frames here, and we are having very severe internet connection again, very bad internet connection. And I pay like almost $140 a month for internet with Shaw Cable. Anyways, you are tuned in to Mike in the Night. I spoke to Gemini Crew, by the way. I just want to throw this out there. I saw Gemini Crew a few days ago. Yeah, that made the Mike in the Night song. He said he wants to remake the song, the same song, but he wants to make it into like 4K, like high definition. He's got a better mic, he's got a better equipment, and he wants to remake the Mike in the Night song. So I said, okay, you know what? We'll do that. We'll work on that. We'll do that. So it looks like I'm offline again. It looks like I'm completely offline. Let's see if I get back on here. Yeah, it's just too much interruptions, internet interruptions. Not too sure why. I'm not sure if you guys are hearing me out there, if anyone could hear me out there. I have no idea. The internet works perfectly through the week. Internet has absolutely not a single hiccup through the week. I come to do my show. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I'm not sure if the internet provider are doing tests or shutting down areas on Saturday night. I'm not too sure. Okay, so here we go. We're back. It says here, smoothing is not as stream as usual. Also, there's been rumors floating around that YouTube allocates bandwidth to the real channels. So if you're pouring gravy down your pants, or you're like just talking about random stuff that goes nowhere, there's a very good chance that you would be allocated bandwidth for that kind of discussion, because that's what makes our world go round, right? Okay, we got our wow. We got, the comments are rolling pretty fast. So we got Cy Sharp. We got Peter JH saying, no, all good here in Sydney. We got Anna Key in the house. Hi, Mike, and all from the rainy Sydney bubble. We got 26 Gunter in the house. We got G-Man 1 in the house. Tig Nim. Hello, Tig. Matthew. All right. So someone's asking if there's other providers. It's really tough when you're in a small town. You're very limited to who you could use. And one of the main providers, one of the other main providers, I just don't want to use them, because I bought a cell phone. 5-6 weeks later, it internally burned. It burnt, and I had it was just garbage. It wouldn't turn on. Went back. They said it was my fault. Had to pay a $900 contract out. I paid the $900 contract and never went back to them. So I'm with the other guys. I hope the other guys can get some fiber optic here or something out here, because my entire street, everywhere, the entire city is turning into Vancouver. It's all the people basically that didn't want to spend $2 million in a house in the big city moved up here. And I don't blame them. I'm the first on the block, though. I'm the first guy on the block. You know what I'm saying? And the locals don't like us too much because we're pushing up the price of real estate and the cost of living. So, I mean, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? So Mitch Madden saying, whatever happened to the real Kevin Thompson? No idea. Lord Humongous just made $520 on the Yankees and Dodgers parlay. We got Sean Lieberman in the house. Tig is saying, Mike, I miss our talks on Patreon. Just message me on Instagram. Everyone's messaging me on Instagram. Anyways, let's go to a quick channel plug before we go into what is happening around the world. All right, so let's go to article scan here. Welcome, people of the night. Welcome to Mike in the Night. Can't even get a good streaming internet service. Embarrassment. All right, channel plugs. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to set your reminders next week. We got a big show lined up for you guys next week. We got, next trends in the housing market, the great debate with Martin North. So we're going to have him on the show on trends in the housing market next Wednesday. And there it is there. If you guys want to set your reminders to that, please go ahead and set your reminders. And don't forget to set your reminders for next week, Mike in the Night. An atmosphere of understanding. I changed the title of tonight's show to worldwide, martial law, because there's a lot of protesting, and then they're gonna basically slip in the whole martial law if needs be, and that's kind of what they're kind of pushing it towards. Guys, don't forget to buy something on, right here. Pick up something, guys, on Teespring. If you guys want to pick up a t-shirt or a mug, I got it all there. This is my Facebook. And we got Facebook here. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. And if you guys can, this is my Instagram. I'm almost at 1,000 followers on this thing. I don't really use it too much, but I do use it to talk to you guys a lot. I get a lot of people sending me stuff on the back end with this. So go ahead and send me stuff if you want on that. No big deal. All right, guys, that's the channel plug. How's everyone doing out there? I really hope everyone's doing great. You could feel the animosity in the air. You could feel the uneasiness in the air. You could just feel it. You could touch it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but what's been happening, like you could just, I don't know how to say it. You could feel this uncertainty. You could hear it in people's voices. It's this, are they pushing things to a martial law standpoint or lockdown? I got 0 kilobytes. Oh, I'm back up again. Are they going to be pushing this? Are they pushing this to basically shut things down? Right? You see what's happening in Melbourne. And then now in Melbourne, they're starting to say, well, the second wave hasn't hit yet in Melbourne. So why are they shutting down the state of Victoria in Australia when the second wave hasn't hit? You know, that's a really good question. Okay, guys, let's get into some stuff here. Let's get into some stuff and see what's happening here. So, some major headlines here that we need to cover on the show tonight. Let's get over to article scan. Seattle could pave the way to national UBI. Local cash payment program with no strings attached could demonstrate the idea's worth for the rest of the country. That's pretty. I don't know. I'm not a fan of universal basic income because I think production will start people won't be as productive. That's just my opinion. I have like people like volunteer firefighters that are not volunteering now because they don't get paid to volunteer firefight, but they don't want to do anything now because of this CERB or whatever you call it. Then you got people like at minimum that own company that pays minimum wage or a server in the serving industry or something, packing industry. They just can't find anybody, even in some construction jobs. They don't even want to go to work because the CERB pays them enough to stay home. And that's an issue. That's a major, major, major issue. Universal basic income. I mean, monthly cash, no strings attached. It could be coming to a city or state near you. So now, like, we had people on the show last week, and they asked, what's to stop people from coming from other countries? America, it's a little bit tougher, like, to immigrate to. As a Canadian, I could tell you that. I tried immigrating there, and it was a big no-no. It's like, no, you can't come here. So the U.S. has got it locked down tight. But I'm not talking about the U.S., like countries like Canada, where they have this huge open borders and open to everything, except Europe. If you're from Europe, you can't come to Canada. But if you're from everywhere else, except Australia too, and maybe New Zealand, you can't come. But everywhere else, it's pretty much an open door, right? So Seattle could pave the way to national UBI. Basic income could virtually eliminate poverty in the United Kingdom at a cost of $67 billion per year. That is major, major, major. So this is from a week ago. Universal basic income, a policy that would provide regular cash income to every citizen without means test or work requirements, is surprisingly inexpensive. So they're making it seem like, hey, this is great. This is the best thing for everybody. We could end poverty. We could end, all this stuff. The United Kingdom could introduce a full UBI, one large enough to live on, for just 67 billion pounds per year. That would be what, 88 billion US dollars, I think, or 3.4% of the gross domestic product, GDP, according to a study. I can't even read his name. Has recently completed. Attention to UBI in the United Kingdom has increased substantially as the Scottish Parliament discusses experimenting with it, as policymakers discuss it as a temporary measure to boost the economy during COVID outbreak. While a pilot project can examine some of the effects of UBI, this kind of study is necessary to determine how much it will likely cost. So one thing they need to make sure with this is they need to make sure they get this thing straight. Let's say they do this. I don't believe in this, but let's say they decide to do this. Okay, fine, fair enough. They do it. But how are they going to stop, I'll give you guys an example. In Vancouver, these multi-million-dollar mansions, one person living in them, or almost nobody living in them, they declare as zero income in Canada, but they're very well off, and they bring money from offshore. They're collecting welfare. They're actually getting a welfare check because they're declaring zero income in Canada. This was a huge debate. This was a huge discussion in Canada with people that don't declare their income, so they don't pay tax, and it's being brought offshore, and they're living in these huge mansions, and they're still getting welfare on top of that. So how would they stop UBI falling in the hands of the people that don't deserve it? That's very important, because I could say easily several $100 million a month goes into the hands of millionaires in Canada, right? And I ain't making this up. All right, so let's go to some UBI discussion in the chat here. So Anna Key saying the UBI people are experimenting on us, and the consequences will unfold in very bad ways. We got David Xavier saying, woo! David, how are you, my brother? So good to hear from you. Matthew saying, Anna, I got to keep the working on it and around the clock then. Lord Humongous said something. What did he say? That someone said exactly to. I didn't see it there. UBI, coming to UBI. UBI is for everyone, Mike. Oh, so basically everybody will qualify for UBI even though they have $744 million? I just can't. I don't understand how that would why somebody would take from it makes no sense. I guess it's because it's universal, but I guess this will eliminate the welfare state. I mean, would it eliminate the welfare state if they make enough? Yeah. So here we go. Adrian T. just hit the nail on the head. Food prices increasing considerably. CERB, UBI, not enough. There you go. In Canada, people already bought out of their real estate. They mean to afford to rent anything in one of Canada's major cities, you need $2,400 to $3,000 minimum per month just to get into something. And that ain't good, and that's not going to work. So I think they need to actually start rolling this out because people with a six-figure income can't afford to live just a basic life. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm just babbling on here. So UBI, basic income, could virtually eliminate poverty in the United Kingdom. So it goes on to say right here, the UBI scheme adds only 39% to the cost of UK's existing benefits system, not including the spending of National Health Service, and 8.7% increase in the UK's total government spending at 67 to 771 billion pounds. The UBI scheme is a net financial benefit to most households in lower of the 70% of the UK income distribution. So this is, it's a benefit to most households in lower to 70% of the UK distribution. What's going to happen? People are going to go out and spend more. They're going to have more to spend. That's nice. But then what is it going to happen? What's going to happen, right? So we're going to get this Lord Humongous. Let's get him on. UBI America. Let's see what he has to say about UBI America. America. From sea to shining sea. We're going to get Lord Humongous on here today, right now, so he could sing us America the Beautiful. Let's see if he picks up. So they're calling it middle-class welfare. Come on, Lord, pick up the damn phone. Not picking up the phone, people. I am very, 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 very sorry. Let's see if we could get, you know who I want to get on the show, actually? It's been a while. Anna Key. I want to call Anna. Wake up. I'm calling you. Come on, pick up, Anna. We need to talk to you.
Hello?
Anna, how you doing?
Oh, I'm going well. I thought you were calling Lord Humongous.
No, he wasn't picking up the phone.
Oh, so I was next in line.
Well, I want to ask, you got a lot to say in the comments there about UBI. Tell us your thoughts, please.
Oh, about UBI. Oh, look, whoopee, free money. How fantastic. I'll just kick back. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. But the big problem with UBI is that it's once again comes with consequences, and nobody has considered those consequences. And it's another government intervention into our lives. And if you look historically, every government intervention into our lives has failed miserably.
Yeah, like when they privatized student loans and they socialized medicine, and they even socialized our car insurance here.
Yeah. You know, and so there will be consequences. God knows what. I haven't even thought about that. I've fundamentally gone, oh, well, great, UBI, here we go. Another crazy, see how I can dance around that one and figure out how to get by. Because somewhere something's going to crack. Somewhere some of this is going to crack. It's like that money printing going whir. It's this constant flooding of money into people's pockets and no consequences to it. The MMT I don't quite understand.
Mm-hmm. the president. What was that? Was it Eisenhower? I think it was President Eisenhower during his administration. America went through some really tough times, and what the Eisenhower administration did was put a lot of money in the pockets of the people and the workers, and not in the corporations. Right?
Did they kick back and do nothing, or did they then go out and work?
They went out and work and actually started to change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get a lot of people that are going to kick back and do nothing, and inside that kick back and do nothing and realise that they can't afford a house, and they can't have families, and they can't have religion, and they can't have any of the sort of fundamental foundations that would give them a good life. They're going to get involved in all of this Black Lives Matter and social justice and virtual signalling and cancelling of people, and they're going to find their jollies in a way that's destructive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's me.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw something in there. Are you ready for this, Anna?
Yeah.
The average benefit over the existing system for each net beneficiary family is going to be £4,056 per month.
Brilliant.
That's what it says here. And under this scheme, the percent of UK families with incomes below the current official poverty line would drop from 16 to 4%, and poverty among children and the elderly would all but disappear. Now, I think if this was going to work, I think they would have introduced this like 2 decades ago.
Just think about this for a second. In Australia, everybody's been handed bucket loads of cash. They've downloaded all of their money out of their super. They're drowning in money. And the consequences of that has yet to play out. And they're starting to talk about how a ton of it's gone into alcohol, a ton of it's gone into gambling, a ton of it's basically been wasted. So they're still going to be in the same spot. They're just going to get this money to blow. Like, they're not going to be. They're just going to, money comes from trees. It's just going to fall into their hands. They don't have to be responsible. So it's fundamentally making it so that people don't necessarily have to care about anything. So I can see drugs going through the roof. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can see them just being aimless and idle and unable to have any purpose. Nihilism. I can see nihilism, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way. I got the UK national debt clock open here, and it's looking at right now that the national debt is $3,502 billion, and the gross domestic product, the GDP, is $3,404 billion. So their national debt is obviously exceeding what they're bringing in. Public debt to GDP ratio is at 101.2%. And external debt to GDP ratio is 284.84%.
Yeah.
I thought I read it wrong, Anna, the first time when I looked at that. I'm like, 284. That's the highest of all the countries.
This is England.
Yeah, the UK, yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, heck, I look at all of this national debt clock, and I look at the GDP, and I listen to the Fed and the RBA, and they all talk about interest rates, and they talk about the banks, and they talk about savings, and they talk about this, and they talk about that. None of it makes any sense. I might as well be trying to kind of work out what's in firework. Like, I'm looking in the sky and there's fireworks everywhere, and that's what this all seems to be to me. Just fireworks just blowing off, blowing up, but getting bigger and bigger. The debt's getting bigger and bigger. Look, it makes no sense. It's just it seems to be just kind of talk and numbers and talk and numbers and talk and numbers and percentages and talk and numbers and percentages, and none of them fundamentally go to the core of anything. Mm-hmm. like we're floating around tra-la-la, and we've got all these great debts, and we like I mean I heard the sort of the debt clock and this debt story that's been going on and on and on and on. Do you think the UBI is not going to just quadruple all of that?
It will. It would, because you're creating debt to pay back debt, right? So it goes back
Yeah,
to
it's
it goes back to that old
it,
saying I always used to say, or I say all the time, is basically somebody asked me once, "Hey, Mike, why don't they just put more fuel on rocket ships so they could go further?" It doesn't make any sense, because then you're going to be carrying fuel just to carry fuel. So it just becomes
yeah.
absolutely useless.
Absolutely, yes, exactly. And everything that we've been fed seems to be absolutely useless.
Hmm.
You
And
know,
that's the treadmill we're on.
the reset that I keep praying and wishing for, is not happening. It's just, as you keep saying, kicking that can down the road in this ridiculous kind of growth model that everybody's just chasing, and this growth. And then we've got another set of people that are screaming. Our Earth is sort of coming unstuck, courtesy of the growth model inside the what is it? Where they the built-in obsolescence inside everything. So our everything that comes out of China is just basically landfill. And at some point we'll be digging our way to China with the all of the mines,
Hmm.
and it's just nuts. And I have not heard in the whole, I don't know, 3 years since I've actually woken up and decided to take a look at all of this. I have not heard anybody in government across the board. I'm talking, when I'm talking Australia, I'm talking New Zealand, I'm talking the UK, I'm talking Canada, I'm talking the world. Sustainability. Nobody.
No. And
Nobody
none
is
of these
talking
models
about it.
that are in effect or in motion right now do not offer any sense of sustainability or any future whatsoever.
No, no, none of them do. None of them do. I'm personally kind of lost around it, but I did that little poster for you, and that was fundamentally a dystopian view of the destruction of reason, and that's all I'm seeing is the destruction of reason,
Yes.
common sense, critical
What is
thinking.
that poster for?
Um, yeah. In Australia, there's a movie called Wake in Fright.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in the 1971, and
Mm-hmm.
it was put together by a joint group of filmmakers between America and Australia, and it actually had a Canadian director.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the movie itself came out, and Australia didn't like it, so it failed dismally. They didn't like the reflection of themselves, and
Ooh.
so the movie went into archives and was lost. And one particular person that was working on it had spent 20 years looking for any footage, and he found it in America in cans that were scheduled for destruction,
Ooh.
and he restored it and recolorized it and restored through the Australian Film Archives
Mm-hmm.
this particular movie, and it was re-released in 2009, and now it's become a cult classic.
Right. So
But
we could find it. We could
fundamentally,
find it on. I guess I'll just download it. So it's called
Wake in Fright.
Woken Fright.
The actual movie itself is called Wake in Fright, and it's about a young. It's the core story is a sort of a middle class, ordinary, normal, respectable school teacher gets his car breaks down. He ends up in this little tiny town and ends up completely corrupted
Wow.
by the Australian larrikinism, by killing kangaroos, by drinking beer, and he's just ruined. Gambling, drinking, and killing. And he gets ruined by the end of it.
Mm.
And so I sort of saw that analogy of what's going on with all of the virtue signaling and the social justice warriors
Mm-hmm.
and the Black Lives Matter and the the Democrats, the pump the fist and take the knee and the sports and all of the things that are going on. And fundamentally, I just see, yes, we are heading for a destruction of reason. Like 2 + 2 now, according to these people, equals 5. And if you say no, it's 4, then you're cancelled.
Cancel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And watching over the last 3 years, all of these different people who are perfectly, what I thought, sane, reasonable, rational, common sense
Educated.
people getting cancelled. And what happened with CHOP in Seattle, it was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And then what's happening in Portland, I'm now starting to kind of link it together with the cancelling of a professor in Evergreen University 3 years ago, who was Brett Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just astounding what's been happening.
I know.
That basically.
I just can't fathom. It's so hard to piece. This is not your Anna. This is not your typical puzzle. It's more of a 3D, several layer puzzle, and there's several layers working at the same time.
Remember the game? Remember Star Trek, and they played chess, and it was on all of those layers, multi-layered chess game.
Yes.
In the Star Trek, that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, like very. I don't know, fourth dimensional type of weirdness.
Yeah.
It's
floating out everywhere. I first came across it when a woman thought that she was so righteous, she wanted to sue the motorcycle company that sold her son the motorcycle because he drove it and killed himself.
I don't think that would.
It didn't fly, but the fact that she thought that she could.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just trying to put that through my head.
Yeah. There's a lot of that sort of stuff. You discussed it recently when somebody is defending their property and they're the ones in jail.
Exactly. That one guy that cut his leg on somebody's window when he was breaking in California ended up winning a lawsuit.
Exactly.
And the guy that fell through the skylight.
Yep. We've lost it. We've lost in the law, and we lived like America, especially. They live by the law. They agree to the law. That's really their fundamental, the law is written in their constitution, and their law is how they sustain their society. When the law breaks down, and this is, I noticed this in Australia, the law has broken down into this social justice warrior place.
It's scary.
And so we've lost it in the law. So, the fact that that fellow got sacked from Google because he stated that women weren't necessarily interested in computer science, and he got sacked. I mean, women aren't interested in computer science. Every woman I know hasn't, could just, throws their hands in the air and says, "You deal with it."
Yeah.
They're just not. And who else got fired for saying something? Like there's
lots
just
of people.
So
I've been
many.
watching all kinds of people scared to speak up at work. People scared to discuss their feelings about. Like I said the other day, last week's Mike of the Night, people are scared to ask for the ingredients. And when I'm saying people want to read the ingredients, it's not looking at the back of a cereal box. I'm talking about the ingredients of what's in what. And when you ask what's in what, or you kind of want to add to it, or you want to kind of know what's in something, or what makes it the way it is, or you want to question it, you are ostracized.
Absolutely. I mean, and everything that we think is there to protect us has proven it's the emperor has no clothes. It's proven not to protect us. There's all the trade practice laws across Australia, inside Australia that I'm seeing, have been broken, and they're broken every time I turn around. I see that law is broken, that law's broken, this is broken. I mean, I'm absolutely devastated what I've been discovering inside the water.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not that China's buying it up; it's that our actual politicians are giving, are sort of doing dodgy backroom deals and putting $20 million into the Cayman Islands.
That's right.
There's deals all over the place, and the farmers. I just spoke to someone that's involved in farming, and the farmers are going broke. I mean, you're talking about food, and I'm hearing about farmers going broke, and I'm thinking I thought that would be one sector that would be okay. No,
Well, because
they're
we need
not
to
okay.
eat, Anna. And if we
No,
can't
well, they're
eat,
going. Well,
yeah.
they're being driven out because the government have now just put it another new imposition on the farmers, where the 457 workers, which are people
Yes.
that we bring in from overseas to do all the picking, they are now going to be paid $10 extra an hour.
Whoa. 10
So
pesos
their
or
hourly wage is
$10?
$10. So they went from, I suppose, they had all sorts of other horrible deals going on, but our basic hourly minimum wage is $21, and they want to give these 457 visa pickers $31. So the
I'm gonna
farmers
go
are
there
just throwing
tomorrow.
their
I'll pack and
hands in there.
I'll put a flannel shirt
Yeah.
on.
The weird bit is like why we've got a ton of people out here that they're not even aware that the farmers need them, and if they need them, let's go. Nobody's able to help because the government have intervened to such a degree, and everything's also twisted and distorted that you can't help your neighbour because you may come unstuck somewhere.
Plain and simple, Anna, the government's getting way too big. That's it. They're just
It
getting too
is,
big.
and I've always been screaming, defund the government, defund the bureaucrats, defund the government, not the police, not this, not that. It's the government.
Yep. They're in our food. They're in our music. They're in our movies.
They're in everything.
They're in our clothes. They're in everything. Yes.
They couldn't run a chook raffle, and they're in everything.
Yep. Yep. They have no way, no how, no understanding on how to run a proper school board or understanding the fundamentals of all, how to run I heard the education system in Western Australia is absolute atrocious. And in New Zealand, in southern New Zealand, it's crazy what they're teaching the kids in some of these classrooms.
Yeah, because we've handed it somewhere along the line. It got handed over, and they got basically put on the pedestal, and people basically they abdicated somewhere. I don't know exactly when it happened, but there was an abdication of responsibility by the communities, by the people, by the parents. I think it was when mums went to work, they took their eye off the ball. Dad, when it got to the point now, their eyes are completely off the ball because they've got to really work hard inside. Both mothers and fathers have to pay for these ridiculous house prices. To have to have their homes, to raise their families. They're driven to exhaustion.
It's yeah.
So the kids have, I know I was socially manipulated when I was young in school with teachers, and I didn't realise it. And I came back, I'd come home and I'd fight with my parents over women's liberation, and I'd fight with them over, what women can have and equality and you name it, and all sorts of things. And we got hit with overpopulation. There was tons of movies that came out all about not having babies and where the planet is overpopulated, and that was years ago.
Yeah.
And the women's liberationists were, pushing their barrow. They get these people that get in with the children, they have the influence.
Yeah.
Anyway, I still think it's a lost. I've given up. It's a lost cause. Pull them out. You can pull your kids out, but then they become rare. I was rare because my parents weren't divorced.
Yeah. Me too. My parents weren't divorced either, so it was a different. I don't know. It's just a different upbringing when things, and they're trying to rip families. They've been trying to rip the family apart for decades now.
Yes, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
The fact that two men can get together and sort of have a big hurrah that they're having a baby. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, like I just feel assaulted every time I switch on the
Oh,
news
you can't watch
or
the news. The
switch,
news is
look at something.
yeah, the news is unwatchable. I sometimes I turn it on. I'm like, what the heck what are they? Do these people even know what they're talking about?
Yeah, but the problem is that I feel like I'm very rare because a lot of people believe they hook, line, and sinker, swallowed the Kool-Aid. They listen to the ABC and they just sprout whatever the ABC says. Classic example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when the when COVID was coming, and everybody started to get wind of it and started to get a little bit nervous, they stopped going to Chinese restaurants and going to Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
So the ABC and the sort of lovely fun people that get dressed up and get in front of the cameras decided to tell everyone that they should go to Chinatown and have a Chinese meal, and they're going to go off to Chinatown and have a Chinese meal.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was sort of going on. And then over in where was it? Italy, they stopped the flights from China, and it was all racist talk, racist. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you got to do? You got to go out and hug a Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Duh. Talk about, like, why has Italy gone so badly? Oh, gee, maybe it has something to do with hugging the Chinese.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know that you're in even with Trump and the whole business. I mean, granted, it's a mess there, but when he copped so much racism talk around stopping the flights from China,
Mm-hmm.
that was just terrible.
Well, Canada never closed flights from China. It was open right through, and construction was a necessity in Canada. Construction, and I think even in Australia, I was told that construction is a necessity. It's mandatory because then what are the investors going to buy, right?
Yeah, well, that's where all the real big money comes into government.
Yeah.
That's where all the politicians get their backroom deals. That's where the paper bags full of thousands of dollars get delivered to the party rooms, and that's where it's all, these guys are seriously in the money when it comes to construction.
Yep. That's where it is. The GDP,
so of course
majority of the GDP is hedging off it, right? So.
Well, I don't believe in the GDP numbers. I don't believe in any of those numbers. But that's, it's really where is your champagne coming from? Where is your sort of happy times coming from? Oh, it's coming from all the people that want to get a block of land and carve it up and make apartments
and park their money.
Yeah,
in a safer government.
Yeah, it's just where is the money flow? It's in there. That's where the real big money flow is. That's where the biggest amount of corruption sort of lies, where the politicians can get a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, why would they stop? Why would they stop that? They're living beautifully.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would they want to do that? Anyway,
I'll let you go. It's been 25 minutes. Holy smokes. I'm going to let you go. Anna, thanks for coming on such short notice to fill us in on that whole... Yeah, it's been really good. Really good. Really good having you on. Yeah, it's been a while too.
Alrighty.
Anna. It's been a whole 3 weeks.
It has. Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, same old, same story so far, except UBI is rearing its ugly head.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, Anna, you have yourself a good day there, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye, Anna. So we're having Anna basically sent me a link to this rehash of a movie. So if you guys want to check this out, let me go to my community here. Let me go to article scan. Guys, I'm having some pretty bad connection here. I only pay like $130 or $140 a month for my internet. So I might have, that's just internet. That's not my cable. I don't have cable. So I'm not lying. I don't have cable. But I'm saying just my internet, and I can't get a decent stream going. So I'm going to have to find another company to deal with. So here it is right here, guys. Woke and Fright. it sounded like a really good plot. So check it out, and it's turned into a cult figure in Australia, and it's about some guy. He goes out, or he's a school teacher. He goes out, and his car breaks down on a back road, and he ends up being part of this weird cesspool of a town that starts corrupting him. It's really good. So I haven't seen it. It sounds amazing. It sounds like something I'd be into. So check it out, guys. Check it out. You are tuned in to Mike in the Night, people of the night. Welcome all. We're having some internet interruptions here, guys. So please just if it starts to, if you get a wheel, just try and refresh it. I'm not sure why I don't know why. So I don't know why it's doing this. So I have to clean my cookies, but when I go to my start, check out my start menu here. I can't search anymore. There's no search box here that allows me, there's no box to let me type in to do a disk cleanup or, a cookie cleanup. I got my computer fixed about 2-3 months ago. And, ever since it's been fixed, I lost that, function where I could type in what I'm looking for. And it just doesn't exist here. I can't type. I have to look it up alphabetical, but then I can't find desktop cleanup or cleanup disk cleaner, so it's gone. And I have no way to type it in like I usually do and find it. Okay, so let's all have a moment of silence for Ruth. We got Mr. Right. UBI and PPP sound like human waste. That's right. Margaret O'Brien saying, Martin North is saying 1 million unoccupied properties in Australia. You know what? I'm willing to say it's more than that. I'm willing to say 1 in 5 properties are empty in Australia. In Canada, we have close to, I think it's 1 in 10 or 1 in 7 properties are empty in Canada. Foreign invested. So, I mean, yeah, if you want to go there, we could go there. But I got some very hard-hitting questions from Martin North this Wednesday on trends in the housing market, so don't forget to tune in, guys. Okay, let's see what we got here. Mr. Right, look up Trump casino and hotel stock fraud. Jeff Jefe Salcedo saying the data came out of Italy's COVID death numbers were greatly scaled down. They had been grossly overreported. That's correct. And I feel really bad. I really do. My heart goes out to a lot of those older people in the old folks' home that didn't die of COVID, but died because they weren't getting their medication, and they died because they weren't being looked after, which they were supposed to be looking after people. I feel bad for those people. Because there's a lot of people coming forward now in different facilities saying, I was scared to go to work that I was going to catch it from old people. And a lot of old people perished with this, and they didn't have to die from this. And that's the sad part of it. All right. Yeah, we almost have 300 people watching right now. This channel only exists because of you guys. I don't have many subscribers. Every channel, even channels that I've had on my show, have quadrupled me. Oh, we got Lord Humongous. Mr. Humongous, how are you?
Hello, my friend. How are you?
How is it? Is it running smooth, the transmission? I keep getting some internet interruptions here.
It didn't even ring on Skype when you tried to call me. What was going on?
Oh, okay. But I'm saying, is my transmission okay?
Yeah, but it was buffering a couple times, but it's fine now.
Okay. I don't know what to do. It's getting to a point where, I don't get my internet for free. That's the thing. I actually pay like $120 a month for it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't know, Mike. I don't know why you have bad connectivity problems.
It's because it's not free. If it was free, it'd be working perfectly.
Right.
Yeah.
Have the government.
Yeah.
Have the government install it.
Yeah, we're back at 0Ks.
Right?
Yeah. We're back at 0Ks right now. We're sitting at 0Ks, and it's now, the wheel should be coming up right now. It should be getting a wheel right now. Let's see if we get the wheel. There it goes. There's the wheel.
Follow what the chat's saying, because they usually see the connectivity problems faster.
Yeah.
Is it doing it right now?
Yeah, it's back up. It's back up. So how are things in Colorado, south of Colorado?
Uh, they're better. I mean, I'm working on my own personal plans and stuff, and what Anna was talking about. I just wanted to dive into that a little bit. I agree with her, but it's like a lot of these systems, that they put in place, they're psychological, right? So, they've been slowly feeding the masses through generations of their BS to keep them trapped.
I
And
don't know
they
why
don't
the
want, they
government
don't
always insists of getting into everything and then ruining it, and then
because they have to
throwing more
control.
money at it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. They don't want people to be free, even though they tell Americans, "Oh yeah, we're a free country." Yeah, sure we are. As long as you sign up, get on our dole, use our money system, and that's what it really boils back down to. I don't get mad at the UBI if they're giving it to people, directly. You know what I'm saying? When these corporations they get this printed money out of nothing, right? From the get-go. And it dribbles down to Amazons and Wall Street and the banks, and it's always the money system. It's not the real money. It's not gold and silver. It's not sound money. Like I that's the crux of all this stuff. But there's people out there that will do bad stuff, and they're evil just to maintain control over a stupid system that's not even, when it was designed, it's self-defeating. You can't have a debt-based monetary system. It's going to fail at some point.
Again, it's
know?
like carrying fuel to carry fuel.
Yeah.
So
to go to
let's
Mars.
put more gas in the car. Let's add 3 more gas tanks. But now you're just carrying fuel to have fuel, and it makes zero sense.
It doesn't work. And there's a lot of people that make more money, off of being using debt and leverage, right? So they'll bet against the debt, and those are the people that, like on Wall Street, they know when a big crash is going to come, right? So they'll bet against the debt by shorting it. But it's all, the average person has to realize that everything that they tell you, on the TV, to do this or get involved with this, it's all lies. It's all to ensnare you and entrap you financially. Every individual has to be responsible to a degree and learn what real money is. And it's not the stuff they print out by the trillions, but they get everybody to use it. That's why I'm she was talking about gambling, right? Well, they just opened up sports betting here in Colorado, right? But would I rather wager that funny money on something that I know is not rigged and manipulated on a daily basis through the computer algorithm systems? You know what I'm saying? You know how much money they screwed everybody that's put into any one of these systems out of? They drain their wealth daily. And then on the other side of that, you have the government coming in with regulations, bureaucracy, red tape. It's almost designed to where you will never get ahead ever.
And you know what the funny part is? Imagine you're working away, you're working your day away, and as you're making your money hourly, you're losing value as you're working and gaining. So you're constantly on this treadmill.
Yeah, it's the taxation. They right off the bat, if you're a working person with a W-2 and you work for some private employer or even a public employer, they zap you with taxes like a third of your check right off the top. You never see that money. And then you got to fight with the criminal IRS, which is another big racket associated with the central banking Ponzi scheme that's failing. The whole taxation racket. People think Americans are wealthy. We're not. We're we have look at the homeless epidemic they've created, and that's all through the housing system. But these systems have been in place for decades, and they knew it. And the ones that know it are the ones that profit off of it. And they profit off the misery, the death, the disease. Look at big pharma, all that stuff. All these, these pharmaceutical companies, for these stupid vaccines on a phony virus, they get paid billions of dollars.
I need to throw something in there. I'm sorry. There's a rumor going around that if you want to travel, if you want to get a travel visa to some countries now, you're going to have to take all 18 to 21 vaccines for COVID.
Yeah, well then I guess I won't be traveling until it's over with, but by that time there'll be war in the streets, and it's going to get to that point because these idiots can't realize that they can't control their human beings. We're all born equal. I in my eyes we are. Everybody should have the same free opportunities to better themselves and do it in an honest way. You know, that's the problem. That's the criminality of the whole system. It's not honest.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's ran by mafia groups and everything else, and they all know it. They all know they're all criminals, and they destroy lives. Those are your murderers. Those are the ones that are killing people. The ones that are teaching your kids in school how to think a certain way. What kind of curriculum?
Indoctrination.
Yeah, if I had kids, I wouldn't want them to be indoctrinated by some
Hmm.
Marxist failed ideology that's connected to communism.
Hmm.
You know, and that's where you get the separation between the right and the left, which I think they both have their problems. Nobody should be extreme on either end.
Hmm.
You know, people should be individual, freedom loving. They think for themselves. They know that they're getting screwed by this money system, which has to collapse, in my opinion, because it's all one big racket.
It is. It's
You know,
definitely.
and
It's definitely. Oh, it looks like we went back offline again. It looks like we're going to see the stream window, the stream bubble here. It's not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream. So,
but since I'm forced to use this monetary system
mhm.
because my country cannot go back to gold and silver, which is stated in the Constitution. You're talking about law now, right? The one thing the government does not follow. See, that's where the disconnect is. And these money pools go to all these international countries, and the banking system's so rigged, it's so phony,
Hmm.
that it's worthless. But
We
there
got
is a fight between.
Metal Man here in 1983 saying this is actually a good point he brought up here. Dollar General has been destroying small towns.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
I heard about that. I heard a lot of Midwestern small American towns are having a really tough time with dollar stores. Even Walmart's having a tough time with dollar stores.
They're all having a tough time. What's the difference if it's called Walmart or dollar store? It doesn't really matter. They all use the same chain lines.
Yeah,
And
I guess
they've
you're
been
right.
they've been poisoning us through our food, man. It's part of that eugenics agenda. Americans have been poisoned for decades. The
Hmm.
crap they put in the food. No wonder we have all these diabetes and stuff in America. Americans used to be slim. We used to be a strong country.
I know, I
But
was watching some really old reels of New York City, news reels from New York City from, I don't know, man, from like 1903. And the film
Yeah,
was
yeah.
all botchy, but you didn't see one person that was overweight.
No, no. And they were all healthy, and it was a thriving economy at that time because it was new. It hasn't. Every economy has a life cycle too. I mean, people just don't understand that. That's the cycles of business.
Hmm.
There's booms and busts, just like boom and bust was on the other day.
Hmm.
It's in his name. People
Boom,
have to
bubble,
realize
bust,
this,
repeat.
but people have to also realize that there are, out of every tragic thing that happens, let's say it might feel tragic at the time, but there's always an opportunity. So what did I do with the sports betting thing? Okay, yeah, I'm gambling some money, right? But I would rather gamble that on a player's performance that I know they cannot really manipulate like they can the stock market and the bond market.
Yeah, because that's all
and
all naked short buybacks and all kinds of fill slips that don't get executed, right? All these fill
Exactly.
slips go in, they don't get executed. Yeah.
I've done better on sports betting this last week since I started
Hmm.
than I ever did stock market.
Hmm.
And it's not because I don't know what I'm looking at or what companies look good and on all the statistics behind it. I just know that when there are dark people that can manipulate that with a keystroke on a computer daily.
Well, they've been doing it to gold and silver. They've been doing it to everything. They've so many people are getting now prosecuted for all this gold spoofing and market spoofing and all the metal spoofing. All the last couple of months, a lot of it's been under wraps, by the way. But I've been finding a lot of articles that are surfacing and kind of
Did you see the one about Deutsche Bank, the guy that's under oath right now testifying about how his bosses taught him how to metal spoof.
Yep. But
precious
but this is
metals
not the first time Deutsche Bank's under heat here.
Right. No, Deutsche Bank is probably one of the biggest zombies walking on the planet. You know, I'm serious about that, and it has been for like decades.
Hello, everyone.
Man. It all goes back because they're all running this stupid money game.
Imagine you could size up the amount of zombiness in each institution, see who has the biggest zombie. Who would have the biggest zombie right now?
Oh, Deutsche Bank would be one of them.
I think the whole country of Japan would be one too, because they've been in Japanification for the last 20 years.
35 plus, yeah. The bonds and the negative rates, yeah. That destroyed Japan internally with any kind of economy. People, you have to realize this stuff. You have to know what these bankers are doing and these Wall Street criminals and these big institutions. People have to get educated, and unfortunately, they're not going to come and tell you how to educate yourself. They want you indoctrinated. Mm-hmm. They don't want you finding out things for yourself and thinking for yourself.
I said that last week. People, it's what's keeping me up at night in a cold sweat. Is that that's keeping me up and haunting me? Is that people no longer are negotiating for themselves, and that's very scary. That's not a joke. This is like scary.
It is. But it doesn't have to be, is what I'm trying to tell people. And there is hope. Don't give up hope when things look so bleak, because 9 out of 10 of these things really, I mean, they affect us all, but they don't affect us like super, tragically all the time. Mm-hmm. And people have to realize that too. They let their fear and their emotion overtake and dictate, their critical thinking skills. You have to know.
I just want to throw something in there. It's kind of important because you might actually like this, Lord. Are you ready for this? We passed 300 viewers watching us live.
Right.
And right now there's a live stream. It looks like it's on CNN, and they have 68 people watching, and they have like 3 million subscribers.
Communist News Network.
I just had to throw this out there. I'm sorry. I know it's off topic, but we have more people watching this transmission live than CNN with 3 million subscribers.
Everybody should go over and watch my Jamaican friend Mag Truth, Mag Bitter. Mm-hmm. He's hilarious, man. He breaks it all down for you video by video, mm-hmm. and shows you all the tricks they use against us psychologically. Mm-hmm. These devil puppets, that's what he calls them. They're all devil puppets. Anybody that works in government, banking, and the media, the mainstream media, they're all devil puppets. These guys hilarious, man.
Okay, Lord.
We don't beat China in trade.
Well, all right. Well, I'll listen for the next caller.
Well, no, I appreciate you coming in and filling in a little bit of this void that we're having with this UBI and trying to figure out what's going down. And you and Anna Key pretty much hit the nail on the head. And I want to thank you for that.
I mean, hold on. What's the difference between UBI and corporate welfare?
Well, UBI. Well, UBI is more for It's a middle class welfare.
Yeah, but who cares if billions are going out to the people that actually need it to function in these systems, mm-hmm. when these corporate whores get trillions and billions of bailouts?
That's right.
And these banks,
they shouldn't banks. They should be every company for themselves.
That I guess that might be my if communism really did work in a true communist sense, mm-hmm. I would rather give it to the people and let them decide what to do with their fake money. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And spur new business growth and investment. But the problem with that too is capitalism has also run, the growth model's done, man.
Well, the growth model. Because let me just throw something in there. Back in the 70s, 80s, up into the 80s, a lot of the young investors at the time were investing in growth, expansion, jobs. Now, the millennials, they're all investing and shorting everything to crash.
Well, and part of the problem is the technology, right? So they're trying to move us all into that digital garbage, which is worthless at the end of the day. And people have to understand that as well. That's part of the agenda. That's part of the vaccine, getting everybody chipped, and working as even more of a slave, not even for paper at that point. Everything's going to be digitized where they can just make up ones and zeros on some bank computer in a dark basement. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, all right, brother. Well, I'll let you go.
Good night.
God bless.
God bless you, buddy. That is Lord Humongous from the Humongous Wasteland Territory in just outside of Colorado in Denver. So, okay. What am I looking for? Okay, yeah, guys, I have an article here I want to throw out there real quick here. I got this one here. These are kind of important. This is Kitco News. Check them out, guys. They have a good article. It says how America's gold and silver plans to increase productivity by 500% in a year. So it looks like the United States is planning on gearing up for more gold and silver production. And the sad part of that is Canada selling off all its gold, coal, all our mines basically to China, and so is Australia. So Australia and Canada and New Zealand and the UK are in the same boat when it comes to that. Cities and states are facing a $1 trillion budget mess. There will be more trouble ahead. Like, we need more trouble ahead. So there it is. When it comes to city-state financial messes, in 1975, he helped pull New York City from the brink of bankruptcy as the middle class fled to the suburbs. In 1980, he led the city's transit authority through the strike so brutal that he needed a bulletproof vest. As lieutenant governor of New York State in 2009, he showed how he could save its budget from the ravages of the global financial crisis and years of physical denial. But so it wants me it wants me to subscribe to read this. So it looks like cities are now borrowing. Now, I went into states. I went into the different states. So let's go into the states right now here on the debt clock. Let's go into the United States. Let's go U.S. debt clock. Let's go by states. Let's go to Illinois. Now, let's take a look at this, my friends. There's the population, 12 million. Unemployed, 1.71 million. Food stamps, 1.783 million. And then GDP and debt. Now, the debt to GDP ratio is the spending right here. This is what I want to get to. And now, I want to pick on Chicago and the city of Chicago more in the state of Illinois because they have 4 or 5 layers of government there. 4 or 5 layers of government. Okay? I don't even know anyone that has 4 or 5 layers on their car in the winter, or 4 or 5 layers on their head, or I don't even know, you know what I'm saying? But there it is. So in-state revenue is $137 billion, and they're spending $160 billion. And we've brought it up quite a few times here that this Illinois is a very exodus state where everyone's moving to Tennessee. They're moving to Oklahoma. They're moving to Kentucky. They're moving to Georgia, Florida. Yeah, Illinois is seeing a very big mass exodus, and a lot of the taxpayers are on the hook for these 4 or 5 layers. So I kind of wanted to throw this to show this. Here it is right here, guys, so you guys can see it. In-state revenue, $137 billion, and they're spending $160 billion. Debt per citizen, $13,000 per citizen are indebted to the state. Not to the Fed, but the state tax, the state debt. And it's right here. They're spending more. So they want to put UBI, and they're going to get the 1.741 million people that are unemployed, basically collecting UBI. But then everybody gets UBI. So the 12 million, 652,000 people will get UBI. What's going to happen to the spending here? The spending, it's going to go, in-state revenue is going to drop because a lot of people will quit their jobs if UBI is good or it's paying enough. And then you're going to have more people unemployed, and then you're going to have the spending of the state of Illinois will be just in and around maybe 300 billion instead of the 160 billion that they're spending right now. Because think of it, they got 1 million people on food stamps, and they're spending 160 million when they're only taking in 137 million. Governments are spending more than what they're making, and that's becoming a major issue across the board. So let's take a look here. Let's move on here. So cities are facing a $1 trillion budget mess. Oh, I got some good news from the fake news there from the Clinton News Network. About 93% of racial justice protesters in the U.S. have been peaceful. I should say this in like 4 different languages because obviously it doesn't sound right when I say it in English. About 93% of racial justice protests in the U.S. have been peaceful.
Hello, everyone. I understand that you're building a nice $2.5 billion car factory in Mexico.
In Mexico. Where's China?
I love China.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the comments. New York is going bankrupt. Oh yeah, oh big time. New York is facing some really hard times, but okay, some good news. So 93% of the racial justice protests have been peaceful. I don't know, I'm seeing other stuff on the news. Maybe I'm severely delusional. All right, let's keep going here. Protests shake Bangkok, challenging old guard's grip on Thailand. So I've been to Thailand a few times, and let me tell you, man, when it comes to their king, either you love him or you hate him. And he passed away. Elvis, they used to call him Elvis. People weren't even allowed to use his name in Thailand. When I was in Bangkok and I went to Pattaya and all the different places, you're not even allowed to say his name. So there it is, guys. So they're having, well, they have a monarchy there, right? And they're not, here they are wearing masks. Here they are with their water cannons here. There they are. There's a couple of thousand people. Every change in government must be approved by the king. So, I mean, if you think you got it pretty bad in the U.S., Canada's got the same thing. Whenever a Canadian Parliament wins the prime minister, whenever the prime minister wins, they have to go to England to get, like, approved by the Queen or something. I'm not making this up. I ain't making this up.
I fully understand.
Okay, hundreds of women arrested at protest in Belarus. Women have become the face of the protest against the president Alexander Lukashenko, and his police force rounded up more than 300 participants. Women's march in Minsk on Saturday. So there you go. Women are getting taken in. So the world's protesting. Are they protesting because we're headed towards a world of martial law, new world lockdown? Is that where we're headed towards? Is that what's on the agenda? So women being arrested, and yeah, these women are, you know, in especially in places like Belarus, where Eastern European former Russian states were under massive oppression. Okay, so this was sent to me by Douglas O'Connell. Sent me this and say, hey, Mike, can you play this on Mike in the Night? Okay, guys, this is an announcement for everyone in Scotland and Edinburgh. He's saying that a lot of people watch Mike in the Night in Scotland. They just watch the replay because it is like 3 o'clock in the morning there, or 4 right in the morning right now. So here it is, guys. Edinburgh Covey deniers to descend on Princess Street tomorrow. Guys, this is like in the morning for you guys in Scotland. So in the next 5 hours from now, from like right now, from looking at your clock, in 5 hours, people will be descending on Princess Street tomorrow. So I made this announcement for a follower of the channel. A group of anti-maskers that oppose the Scottish government's Covey policies are set to descend on Princess Street tomorrow. Known as the Covey Truth 2020, protesters have been gathering at locations across the UK over the month of September, calling for an end to the lockdowns and social distancing and track and trace, with Edinburgh the next location on the list. So what they're seeing is what's happening in Australia, in the state of Victoria, and the last thing they want in Scotland is this big shutdown. So we got the Expose the Covey Lies. So there it is, Expose the Covey Lies, Crimes Against Humanity, Forced Isolation, and Torture. So you're seeing this in the in the UK, people aren't putting up with it anymore. But hold on. So again, tomorrow, this is an announcement. If you're in Scotland, and I'm saying tomorrow like in 5 hours from now, I'm not saying tomorrow as in Monday, I'm talking about Sunday, which is in a few hours, people in Scotland would be descending to Princess Street today. Princess Street today. If you're in Scotland watching this live. Thank you. I hope I got that right. So let's move on. Now, this is from Australia. Victoria is reminding me of Poland in 1981. The restrictions in Victoria or our movements, our work, and even our thoughts are being back to chilling memories of those who escaped the totalitarian regimes. I had a really good friend, I still do, a good friend of mine who escaped Poland in the early 80s because of the amount of problems he was having with not being able. I mean, right now it's the governance. The governance is in our food. Government's in our food, government's in our water, government's in our music, government's in our what we wear, what we dress, what we say, government's in our media, government's in everything I say.
I love China.
So it's very, very dangerous. Let's get another caller on. I'm talking too much here. Yeah, let's see if Steve Stevens, if he's not in jail, let's give him a call. He's in Victoria, Melbourne, Australia. Hopefully he picks up. I know he's on lockdown. I know he's not out.
Hello?
Steve, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I know you're extremely busy because you're on lockdown right now.
Yes.
Okay, what week are you in lockdown?
We began in March of this year, and we're still going.
Okay, so you started in March, April, May, June, July, August, let's say some 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 22 weeks in lockdown.
Yeah, it's the longest ever in the world.
Have you written a book or something?
No, I've kept myself busy with studying courses and trying to work, but it's very difficult because effectively everyone is isolated.
Okay, guys that are joining us right now on the channel, this is Stephen Thomas. He's been on the channel almost every week. He's been on lockdown now, going into 26 weeks in lockdown in the state of Victoria, in just in Melbourne, Australia, and he's locked down.
Yep.
Are you still having that air traffic, military air traffic and drones following people?
Yes, definitely.
Wow. What are they looking for?
I saw one last night out the window myself. And they're just monitoring traffic to make sure you're not going out more than 5 kilometers from home.
So have they implemented that tracking device for your phones to make sure you're not 5 kilometers or 5 miles from your home?
Not yet,
okay.
But they will, because it's coming.
This is okay. So I don't know if you saw the article I just read about in Scotland, in Edinburgh. They're basically descending onto Princess Street today, because they're seeing what's happening in Victoria, and they don't want no part of this.
No, I don't blame. There was an article here in Melbourne this morning that they want to lock the UK down like us. For a very long time.
They were actually, you ready for this? 16 to 24 months.
Yep, that's right. It's not short term.
Okay, so
it's crazy.
We discussed, 2 months ago, that they were thinking of extending your lockdown to 12 to 24 months, and everyone said that was nuts, that they were going to end it in 2 weeks. And this is like 8 weeks later. They haven't ended nothing.
No, they just keep extending it with rolling options.
Huh. And you know what I can't wrap my head around was the article I read last week with you, how if you have one child or two childs, or you're visiting a family member, you could only pick one of the family to visit you?
Yes, correct.
I still can't wrap my head around that. Like, it seems
Well,
like...
Well, really, if anyone's got a family that's out there, how would you explain to your children that only one of, say, several can come and visit you at any one time in isolation? How do you explain that?
Well, we got Matthew, who's also from Melbourne, in the comments saying, basically that a lady got arrested on the bench for being 100 meters too far away from her home.
That's ridiculous.
So, I mean, are you guys having COVID parties? Like, I mean, if you're living in a condo complex, if everyone knows each other, or like their neighbors, or they're being very neighborly now that everyone's in lockdown, are you guys having at least COVID parties, or like something going on at least?
Well, we sneak down the shops and we entertain ourselves at the shops.
Okay, but you just can't get caught.
Yeah, that's right.
Imagine.
You gotta buy food, but pretend you're buying food.
So if you want to go out and pick up a roast beef sandwich, and it's like 1 kilometer out of your radius, and you get caught picking up one of them sandwiches, you're screwed.
Yep. That's right.
Holy crap. So there's an article here that's out today saying Victoria, Australia is reminding me of Poland 1981.
Yep.
So is there anything that the government isn't in Australia, in the state of, let's say the government of the state of Victoria? I know they're in your food. I know they're in your water. I know they're in your housing. I know they're in your, like, every aspect of every angle. The government is in everything. They're in the distancing from your house. They got drones flying over.
Yes.
What is the government not into?
They're mostly, at the moment, they're not into fresh air. So that's the last thing that's left.
That was a good one.
So once that goes, that's it. We're not here.
Well, yeah, well, the government's into your education, into your school, into your banking system, into everything and anything that you hold sacred is all government touched, manipulated, or thrown out, or reworked, or destroyed.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God. So, Steve, what do you do? Like, I know you've been on lockdown for like a long time. What else do you do? Do you play video games? Do you...
I actually watch videos on YouTube from your channel to keep in touch with what's going on.
Really? What is the local news telling you guys out there?
They're pretending it's not really happening.
The lockdown or COVID?
No. They're pretending there's no protesters. They're criminals.
Uh-huh.
They're not. They're just normal, ordinary, everyday people.
Huh. So they're making it seem like there's nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
It's a distraction.
Huh. So what's the end game here, Steve? There's got to be some end game.
Yeah, as I said a while ago, the end game is command and control, which is pure communism.
I'm scared, man. I'm sorry.
You should be, because if we go, they will come for you, and also the US.
Well, I'll have to flee to America then. If that happens,
Well, remember the election is in November.
That's correct.
So therefore, if Trump loses, look out.
So what are you trying to say? I should move to Alaska or something, or move to like the Yukon?
Maybe Fiji.
The Arctic Circle?
Yeah, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
None of us.
Wow. Okay, well, Steve, I just wanted to get an update this week, and we'll call you again next week and see how your lockdown's been going on. And if you want to film
No
stuff on
worries.
your phone, Steve, go ahead and film it, and then
Yes.
just send it to me on Skype. Send it to me on Skype, and
Yeah,
I could just play it
no
off the
worries.
Skype. If
Cool.
you want to film a lot of those drones flying around and watching people, and you know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Steven, you stay strong, okay?
I will. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, guys, that's Stephen Thomas. We've been calling him every week consecutively. He's in 26 weeks of lockdown. He can't go within 5 kilometers of his house. And if he goes and buys a roast beef sandwich like a little further down at the other shop and he gets caught, he's in trouble. And I'm not making this up. I got people in the States watching this show right now. They're in the comments saying, what the heck is going on? Like, this is not even happening. This is not even happening in modern day Russia today. This is not even happening. Well, not that we know of, right? But I'm saying it's not even happening in countries in Brazil and stuff, but it's happening in Australia. It's supposed to be part of the Commonwealth, right? Okay, who else we got? We got the comments flowing here. Guys, I got some good news. Let me give a round of applause here. More people are watching the Mike in the Night transmission tonight than they're watching CNN Live. There's about 66 people watching it live right now. Thank you, guys. All right, so let's move on here. So we got Stephen Thomas. We got the download for him. Let's go back to article scan. There it is. And military police considered using heat ray on White House protesters, whistleblower says. So these heat rays, they've been playing around with this stuff and harmonics, like noises and stuff, to try and make people feel uncomfortable and make them like leave or disperse people. And it does work from time to time, but they are looking at using this to disperse crowds. This is not new technology. This is something that they've been using, I guess, since World War II, trying to create. I heard. Like, hear me out. The one that does the waves. You know the waves, the sound wave thing that you could barely hear. I heard that gives you vertigo. I heard if you're caught in it and you get a bad case of vertigo, you could have vertigo for 2-3 years until your inner ear crystal whatever thingy corrects. I'm not making this up. So that's something to look out for. If you see these things rolling out, just leave for your health's sake. Because the last thing you need is vertigo or some weird crap flowing over you or whatever they're doing with this. So that is there. Roger Stone tells Trump to bring in martial law if he loses the election. I don't know if this is true. Because they always, every time Roger Stone says anything, the media always twists it and lies and makes up crap. So I'm not really, Trump ally also recommending jailing the Clintons and Mark Zuckerberg. So that's what's coming from The Independent. And from bike blockers to street medics, the anatomy of New York City protest. So this is what they're doing. Again, protesting and people taking to the streets. People used to protest for the right. I mean, back now, I just don't feel like that they know what they're like. What are they trying to achieve, right? What are they gonna? It's just gonna bring in, again, today's title: world martial law. They're gonna bring in world martial law is what they're gonna bring in. These disturbances. Look what's happening in Victoria, the state of Melbourne. What, 5.5 million people live there? No one could go and do anything. All right, let's move on. Thousands attend anti-mask protest in Dublin. So this was Mark Fitzpatrick sent me this, asking if I could put this on Mike in the Night, that he was here at this protest in Dublin, Ireland. It's another viewer on the ground in watching the Mike in the Night, or the Mike Martin's channel. Another viewer on the ground. We had the one earlier from Edinburgh, Scotland, and this is from Mark Fitzpatrick sending me this and says he was at this rally. And to let people know, the anti-mask protest movement is growing in Dublin, Ireland also. So let's move on. Why is this all the way down here? Yeah, okay, so Russia, Belarus, military drills near Polish border as protests continue. So joint Russian and Belarusian army military drill took place 5 kilometers away from the Belarus-Poland border on Friday. More than 800 soldiers in Russia and Belarus and about 170 units of military equipment took part. Oh, they're testing this stuff out. They need to test this stuff out to make sure it works when they go to war. So military drills. UK records 4,422 new daily cases. Poland reports record rise as it happened. So here is the pushing and shoving from police in London, in Trafalgar Square here. Anti-lockdown protest. I had a friend that was there today, earlier today, was at this. And he told me that it was actually pretty big. And it was people shoving and the police, looking to take lethal force. The police in England don't carry guns. So that's what's happening. So that's what's happening there in the shoving match in England. So UK records 4,422 new cases, daily cases. Okay, so it looks like they're going to be bringing in the second wave now. So hope everybody's prepared and ready. All right, so let's do a quick channel plug, guys. We'll get somebody else on the show. You are tuned in to Mike in the Night, guys. Don't forget to pick up a t-shirt or a mug or something nice for the family from the Mike Martin's channel. I hope everyone's enjoying the show tonight. I want to thank everybody. I'm sorry about the internet connection. It looks like it's smoothing out right now, kinda. It's kind of all over the place. I don't know what to do. And I'm going to call the internet company tomorrow. They're going to have to do something about this internet because I'm not paying $130, $140 a month for internet. And, like what is that, $7 a day for internet, and it doesn't even work. Okay, so here it is, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join me this upcoming Wednesday for, I'm going to leave a link if you guys could set your reminders for this. Martin North. I'm going to be asking him some hard-hitting questions. Here is your Mike in the Night for next week. Atmosphere of understanding. Just like Layla said in the comments a few seconds ago, she's not sure how this is going to unwind. We don't know. It's an atmosphere of understanding. That's where we are in. And guys, please don't forget to pick up a mug, a t-shirt, a Mike in the Night, anything for Mike in the Night. And guys, here is my Facebook. If you guys want to follow somebody on Facebook who is not credible, go ahead and follow this Facebook page. I have 115,000 fans on Facebook, 115,000 followers, and Facebook won't make me a credible person. They say I'm not real. And I'm on Instagram. I get a lot of messages on Instagram, guys. Go ahead and send me messages on Instagram. It does take a while. So guys, nobody panic, okay? Nobody panic, okay? If just relax. I'm on Instagram, but the thing is they're filtering my messages. So I do get to them. I find filtered messages, right? So there it is right there if you guys wanted to follow me there. All right, back to the show. It is Mike in the Night. Oh, yeah. Wow, we got more people watching us than CNN tonight. And it's us they're watching, all of us, in the comments, calling in. Wherever you may be watching this transmission, it's you guys they're watching. It's us. I'm just a mouthpiece. I'm just blah, 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 blah here. But it's you guys. I want to talk to Layla. I know she was moving, but let's see if she picks up. Layla, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, surviving.
So you moved.
We moved, yeah, we had a huge problem with the landlord, and there's a huge problem right now with my family and theirs. It's a long story. I don't think I should get into it.
But you're okay.
We're okay.
Good.
Yeah, we're okay. We moved.
Good. It looks like you have internet.
Yes, of course, there's internet all over the town.
No. But I'm just saying, like, your internet's already hooked up. It looks like it's okay then. So.
Oh, I use my phone, my phone data.
Okay, Layla. Peace in the Middle East. What the heck is going on? Okay, so guys joining us tonight. Layla is based out of Syria. She is our eyes and ears in Syria, giving us feedback and giving us a little understanding on what is happening from that side of the woods. Go ahead, Layla.
So
Peace in the Middle East signed. What happened? Oh no, we lost connection. Okay, you're back. Looks like you're back.
okay.
Peace
I
in
think
the
it's
Middle
just
East.
my VPN. So, that's not the Middle East, first of all. It's the Gulf.
Okay,
And
sorry. I'm
the
sorry.
Gulf has always. Well, no, but I'm not correcting you, Mike. I'm correcting the media, because what they're trying to do is to normalize relations with the whole Arab world, and they forget that the Arab world is over 20 countries, and so when there is something like the UAE that pops up, they're like, oh, Israel always does that. They're like, oh, it's we've made this giant step for Israel. It's a nothing. The UAE is not only hasn't only been allied with Israel since forever, but they are founded by the same people who founded Israel. The Gulf region, Saudi, Israel, Bahrain, this whole thing was pretty much created around after World War II, sometime after the Israel Foundation thing in 1948. It's so they've always been in bed together, always. So this is absolutely nothing new. The idea of making a peace deal like public, I think, is just an presidential election card that works for both Trump and Netanyahu, because Netanyahu has been going through a lot of problems in Israel. They're still protesting. They're constantly protesting him. He's got the corruption trial going, and Trump is the same idea. Well, he has handlers he needs to answer to. His handlers. His main handler is Sheldon Adelson. He's the guy who sponsored his campaign, and Sheldon Adelson is a major Zionist player in the world. So answer to him. Things like moving the embassy and all of that thing that I think does absolutely nothing for Israel. Or for the U.S. So I don't see. So there is absolutely nothing there. And no one was even surprised. Everyone knows. I've lived in the UAE for most of my life. My parents lived there for 40 years. There's always been a relationship between Israel and the UAE. Same with Saudi, same with Qatar. Bahrain, a little bit less. Right now, there are protests in Bahrain because of the Shiites. There are more Shiites in Bahrain than in others. And I must be missing Kuwait, Oman. They've all been always connected with Israel. There's absolutely nothing there. I think it's great news. I don't know why people are upset. Most people are upset. It's the common reaction of I guess Arab nationalism and things like that. But I think it's great news. Why? Because it is an affirmation of Israel's failure to expand into the region, which is the Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine area. That's the Middle East, as far as I'm concerned. So annexation failed. The deal of the century was dead on arrival. And I think there's a much bigger thing going on here. I think the Greater Israel Plan is under revision. So people think they've been able to make a great step for Israel, but I think it's actually a sign of failure. the point of Israel wasn't to initially expand into the Gulf, it was to expand into the Middle East, which are the countries I just mentioned. And that didn't work. Annexation is impossible at this point for Israel. That's why the one-state solution won't work, because it's actually for a much simpler reason than people might think. It's because Israel wouldn't be able to handle or take on its books the many Gazan Palestinians on the lands. They just weren't able to afford them. And I think that's really the thing about Islam, is that they've got war covered. Muslims are in the business of war. So they will attack you, they will defend themselves, they will deceive you. And if all else fails, it's only a matter of time before they outnumber you.
Right.
So, that's how Muslims grow and expand and establish their presence. And I think that works really well. And after this whole UAE episode, it's actually making the Palestinians stronger, because all of the factions in Palestine are now uniting. And the guy who runs the Palestinian, the PLO, which is a George Soros organization, by the way. It's nothing supportive of Palestine. Just so that you know, these are the people who've been taking Palestinian guns and demilitarizing Palestinians. This has been going on for a while. So the PLO has nothing to do with Palestinian liberties. But what's going on is that because of this, and because there's been other breaches of international pacts, for the Palestinian presence and the two-state solution, the different factions in Palestine are actually...
Hello? Hello? That was weird. All right, it's calling back. We lost you there for a second.
Yep. Am I back now?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah, we lost you for a second here. I'm not getting a smooth internet myself here. My
Okay.
internet is I don't know why, but it's just not working right. It every time I try to go live, it's been doing this to me. So I'm not gonna give up. I'm just gonna keep going. I don't care. People, and when people rewatch the transmission, it's nice and smooth anyway. So I'm not too worried. So continue, Layla.
So at what point did I drop off, Mike?
You were at the part where you were saying that. Hold on. Hold on. I remember where it was. You were saying, and then it's a game. No, it's not a game. And it's working out. It's working out for the one side. It's working out for the Muslim side and the expansion, and then that's what that's why Israel is faltering. And then you're going on to say something about the mainstream media.
Oh, okay.
Something about the mainstream media was announcing this as a win for, I think it was that.
Okay, so I think most of what I said maybe sort of wasn't online. So yeah, so I'll back up a bit just quickly.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was presented as a major win. I think it's for election purposes on both sides.
Right, for both
but
sides.
it's not
We got that.
right.
Netanyahu looks good and Trump looks good. And you went into the
right, but-
handlers, and then you discussed his main handler and then his main contributor. And then you went into discussing the whole, where did it go from there? That's the Gulf, and that's the Middle East. And
Right.
you were talking about Kuwait. And-
Okay, gotcha. So the whole thing, it doesn't do anything new. These Gulf countries have always been connected with Israel. It's not because it's now public that they're not. In fact, most Israelis are dual citizens. They tend to be Russians or Americans, Ukrainians, Africans. They have dual citizenship. So if they sort of pretended that Israelis can't come into the Gulf countries, but Russians and Africans and all these other nationalities can come into the country. There's no issues with that. People continue to forget that Judaism is a religion. It's not a nationality. So they've always
Yes.
been connected. There's always been traveling between the two. I think it's a great sign what's happening, because it's a failure on Israel's part to expand into the immediate region, which is the Jordan, Palestine, Syria, and Lebanon area. That's why, they couldn't expand. Annexation didn't work. The deal of the century was dead on arrival.
Mhm.
And I think there's a bigger deal going on. I think the Greater Israel plan is being revised because it failed. So people can come up with interpretations, but the facts are the facts. Israel has been on this piece of land for 72 years now, and they haven't been able to expand into their Greater Israel project. I don't know if people know what that is, Mike. You
Mhm.
can run a search on Google and bring up images, and it will show what was the intention of what Israel was meant to look like. So it would have been into Syria, into Jordan, into Iraq,
There was
and
that.
this
Was it?
expansion has
Was it
failed.
the 6 Day War in Syria?
It was a 10-year war in Syria.
No. What was that quick little battle they had? It was a short scrimmage in 1960. Oh, 66.
Oh, I think it goes well beyond that, Mike. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but it goes well beyond that. I mean, the 10-year war in Syria was basically World War III. I mean, people are saying, oh, we're moving into World War III. No. It was, because people don't know what goes on in the Middle East, and they don't know who participates in all this. And it's all of the major interests in the world, NATO, the G7, all of the people connected with oil, they have a stake in this. And it failed, so people, yes, it's been very hard on Syria. Yes, right now there's a fuel crisis because of the sanctions. But the result is that annexation failed, the deal of the century failed, and Israel hasn't been able to expand into the region according to its initial plan for the whole 72 years that it's been here. And these are facts, and people can interpret them any way they like. But, I'm not appealing to a political opinion or some kind of thing here. It's just a fact. It's just what's going on. People say things like Syria has been basically taken over by Russia. I think that's partly true. It's not entirely true. There still are problems, like with the Kurds, which operate for the U.S. This is the oil thing. That's going on, and I think it contributes to the crisis, to the fuel. But and I'm not saying that it was an easy war or that it was an easy win or even that it was a win. But for sure, the Israel plan failed. So that's pretty clear to me. So the association with the UAE, apart from it being this shallow thing, election card that both Netanyahu and Trump are playing. And apart from the fact that it's nothing new to anyone who knows anything about the region, it does nothing at all. Nothing at all.
So-
I actually think it's good because the more Israel, what's going to happen, in my opinion and a few others, is that there's going to be Israeli settlements in the UAE. What could be better? Please shovel all of them out there. Dump them all into the desert. They're gonna Dubai is gonna love their pride parades. Please move them out of Tel Aviv into Dubai. They're gonna love that. That's where they belong. And another satanic temple. Dubai is totally satanic. If you have any
after school Satan.
Totally. It's exactly where they
have
belong.
Classes in Michigan State called After School Satan.
Oh, beautiful. You're kidding me. I have to look that up.
I'm not making this up. Layla, I would never lie to you. They have after-school Satan clubs in the States. But anyways, so here it is, guys. Trump deal, Trump peace deal, Middle East. Someone says we're painting a target. Somebody brought something up that was actually interesting I need to bring up. Someone in the comments says that we're painting a target on our back. I'm like, hey, we're just discussing current events. And Layla is very careful with the words she chooses to use, right? So she's not bashing. She ain't, she's just calling a spade. And the reason why Layla's been on the show for a long time now is because she's a straight shooter, right? And she says it how it is, but she says it how it is in a way where it's not going to hurt somebody's feelings, right?
Well, it's funny, and it's funny when you say that. When we start talking about this issue, we paint a target on our back. It tells you who actually runs the world.
Exactly.
So people say all sorts of things about, Muslims, and I'm not here to defend anything that has to do with fundamentalism, Muslim fundamentalism, especially in the West. But the real people are the ones I'm talking about. Another thing, Mike, that's interesting that comes out of all this is that Dubai is very closely connected with Iran.
Yes.
So I'm not so sure how smart this is of a move for Israelis because um, Dubai tends to trade connections. They always have had trade connections with Iran. And the fact that Israelis would move in closer to Iran, I think would put them at risk. And then it becomes easier. Then if you target the UAE, it's a two-in-one target. You're not just targeting um, the UAE side, which has always been at war with Iran and Yemen, but now you put the Israelis in there and two-in-one target. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how smart that is. So that's the thing. And another thing is that the UAE is in total economic collapse. So they never really recovered from 2008, just like the rest of the world never recovered from 2008. And they are desperate for any kind of investment. And I mean, they are absolutely underwater.
You think
So
that's bad? I think it was one of the premiers, or one of the, I guess, in Argentina. I guess they're premiers in each state in Argentina, or the governor of one state is offering like 10 or 20 years tax free for companies to move in, 10 or 20 years tax free, and to pay the first 5 years rent.
yeah,
It's getting to that. It's getting to that, Layla.
Yeah, I can see the UAE pulling off similar things. They try to do things with their with owning property and the visa-free travel and things like that. But I really see that Israeli settlements are going to be possible there. I don't think they're going to call it that. Of course, they're gonna have to save face in some way or another, and they're gonna use the all-powerful media, which they run, to make it sound like, oh, it's the UAE who is needing help, and they're coming to save. The Israelis are coming to save them with their technology. The 3D printed burgers and steaks type of technology, and they're gonna make it sound like no, they're not trying to find another way because of the regional pressures. So Hezbollah has been so silent since the explosion. There's been almost not a sound
Yeah,
coming out from
you're
Hezbollah.
right. I've been kind of following that and trying to see what's happening with that big thing and that big explosion, that mushroom cloud, and it's I heard the price of everything went up there, food wise. They're saying in the double-digit percentage.
Totally, and that's a result not only of the explosion but of the sanctions in general. So right now in Syria, there's a fuel crisis. It's gotten violent.
How can a
People are
country
trying
that
to get the
produces fuel have a fuel crisis?
Well, they produce it, but it's taken over by the US, right? I mean, that was part of the purpose of the war. So the reason you have Kurds is because Kurds are just a US agent to take over the oil region. Kurds
But
have nothing to do with Syria.
but
There's
they
a
don't
country
have
called Kurdistan, they can go there.
but Layla, they don't have like black market petrol places,
They do, but what happens is that the people who are in that trade, they take advantage of it and they jack their prices up, right? So it becomes it is they call it a free market here, not the black market, and it becomes really expensive for the average person. Some people buy it, yeah, a lot of people buy free, but for most people, like taxi drivers and other type of similar jobs, that depend on transport, they have a tough time.
Right. Interesting. So okay. So
So this Hezbollah thing, Mike, so that they've been totally silent, right? And that's because I don't know the reason, of course, but I think that they're waiting for some pieces to fall into place. The main issue right now with Lebanon is the maritime border with Israel. So they're trying to take over the oil that is in the sea. There is I think they call it number 4. It must be no, I think it's number 4. There's number 4 and number 7. I think these are oil, what are they called? Oil fields underwater. I think number 4 is with Total right now. So I think there's a 40%, 60% agreement with Total underway. And then there's a dispute over, I think it's number 7, if I got that right, with Israel. So Israel wants that, obviously. And I think Hezbollah is in the way of this. Something very important that happened is that after the explosion, when Macron came, Macron visited Hezbollah. So that is actually a major win for Hezbollah. because it's an acknowledgement that they're not going anywhere and that they're going to be part of the decision. So people are saying that, oh, Hezbollah have had to submit to some demands by Macron. I'm not seeing that as I don't see why that is obvious. First of all, there is nothing about this conversation anywhere in the media. And second, after the explosion, there's been a couple of other issues. There's been a major building on fire in Beirut, another small explosion somewhere, and the port was on fire again. And just 2 days ago, there was fire coming out of the airport. So people were terrified that it's actually, it's going to be another explosion, the airport. So if Hezbollah had totally submitted to the demands, these little things, which they do to poke at Hezbollah, they wouldn't have happened. So I'm really not convinced that they've had to submit. Another major thing that's happening that no one is talking about, least of all in the U.S. and in the Western media, is China's $400 billion investment in Iran. So the issue...
Yeah, I was going to read an independent article on that, and I got really busy at the shop. Yes, please tell us about that. This is actually a pretty big deal. So everyone, pull up your socks.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, pull up your socks, people, because this one you want to listen to. So go ahead, Layla, unpack it for us.
Yeah, well, I don't know all of the details of the deal because, again, it's not covered in the media as much as it should be, as much as you'd think it would be. But I think the competition is between the Silk Road, China's Silk Road, and the U.S.-Israel route, which goes through the Haifa airport. So the reason Beirut blast happened was so that port be eliminated from being one of the stops on that route. And that Haifa be the one instead. I think that's, Hezbollah can target Haifa. It's in their business to do that. Again, people think that Hezbollah is focused on Lebanon, like again and again. These guys, Pompeo, Bolton, Trump, they're not getting it. Macron, they're not getting it. Hezbollah is not focused on Lebanon. Hezbollah is focused on the region. Hezbollah is focused on Israel. Their job is not to run Lebanon. So Lebanon can go into a peace treaty with Israel. It won't make a difference to Hezbollah because that's not what they operate on. They're not worried about the jurisdiction of Lebanon and Lebanon as a country and its borders. That's not their thing. So anyway, the $400 million investment in Iran is to strengthen the China Silk Route against the Haifa, the U.S.-Israel Haifa route. So I think that's mainly what the war right now is about. And I think they're going to lose. I think the U.S. and Israel are going to lose.
Well, they always lose. They've been losing since Vietnam.
That's true, actually. That's so true, Mike. That is so true. I don't know why they still... And, the American people in all of this, they're just collateral damage. So I think it's major dollar war. And I think that one of the reasons that the Fed has been printing money senselessly is precisely to devalue China's holding in the dollar.
Right.
So it hurts China, but as soon as China starts to dump the dollar, and they have, and there is this thing going around about this $200 billion in treasuries that China might dump. As soon as China starts dumping, even though China loses, other countries will follow suit, and then it's going to be an unstoppable spiral to zero. I think that's what people could be holding off on, and I think that's one reason why the Fed is printing so much money. With all of this happening in the Middle East and the Gulf and China and Iran, I started to see the COVID issues in the U.S. as really, really secondary. It's really possible that the U.S. is just about its foreign policy and is about saving its U.S. dollar as the reserve currency.
Hold on,
and I think
Layla,
that's going to fail.
You're forgetting two words. Global warming. What the hell was that? Does that even exist still? Because that's way on the back burner. Global warming is in Alaska now. That's gone. And then now we're talking. Yeah, now we're talking about COVID full front, and global warming is going to be like, oh, I remember that.
Well, there's, I don't know if you're entirely right about that, Mike, because I've heard some of these foolish, health, whatever they are, health ministers talking about COVID and stuff, and including that idiot at WHO. They've all been talking about climate change and, COVID as being an opportunity for, doing something about climate change, or that COVID is a result of climate change, or, some totally
Oh, they're going to
irrational.
intertwine it. I'm not going to
Right?
say they are. They're not. They're going to intertwine that. They're probably going to throw the Hell's Angels in there, and they're going to probably throw in like some freedom liberation guerrilla party from Cuba in there too. And they're going to just whatever they're going to have to do to get the salad to taste right. You know.
So I think they've done a lot of progress using global warming for this purpose. So all of the protests and things like injustice and things like that, they've done a lot of headway with that. I think if they're going to use global warming properly for their agenda in the next phase, it would be to appropriate lands. I think that would be the next serious milestone in pursuit of their agenda. So what's going on, for example, with the housing crisis? If there's enough of these, the Fed can take over whole cities, whole towns, a lot of land, and I think that would be the next major step for them. And I think it's happening, right, with
It'll
the
be tougher in the United
evictions.
States because, I mean, private property is private property still in the United States. So it'd be pretty tough to get on someone's land without any.
I'm not so sure, Mike, anymore. I sent you, and I really think you should pull this up, Mike. It would be great for people to see that. I also linked it in the chats earlier. After Anna, I missed Anna this morning, a little bit after Anna dropped off. I sent you, Mike, if you scroll up to my messages to you, there is a USA Today link. And it's a map covering all the protests across the U.S.
Oops, I got Al Jazeera here. Hold on, let me go up. How far up is it? No, I saw that one. That one.
Bear with me, let me check.
Gold is terrible.
Okay, you know what, Mike? I'm gonna copy it again and link it.
Yeah, send it to me again on Skype because I got this Al Jazeera one. It's not USA Today.
Okay, just a second here.
All right, send it over. No problem. So this is Layla on the phone from Syria, giving us a layout or unpacking what's happening in the Middle East, and it's best to have someone that's in the Middle East that understands the politics to lay it out here on Mike in the Night. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so tracking, let's open this up to article scan for everyone to see. Wow, this is bright. Okay, tracking protests across the United States in the wake of George Floyd's death. Citizens protesting police killings of Black Americans take the streets across the United States. Map of protests across the United States. Site of protests. So here it is, guys. Let me zoom this in so you can see this map. So what are we looking at here, Layla?
So all of the dots, the blue dots, I think they are, they're all the protests across the U.S. So that's a lot more than what the media portrayed, right? The media was focused on the big cities, the Minneapolis type of protests. But another thing that's key in this map is the National Guard. So everything in orange or that light orange thing are the states that have the National Guard deployed.
Ah.
Right. So we haven't heard so much about this in the news as we've heard the occasional, or at least I've heard only the occasional we're bringing in the National Guard in this or that state, but look at the coverage here. And that's USA Today, and it's mainstream media, and the reason I pay attention to it is because that's what they want you to know. That's what they want, that's the agenda that they're communicating. So I think that I don't think this is a reassuring map at all. I always felt that there was going to be some kind of that there could be a civil war in the U.S., but I didn't think it was proliferated throughout the map to this extent.
No,
and then this map really captured it. I think it captures it really well. If all of this is true, and that's what they want you to believe is true, at least.
Right. Well, this is USA Today, right? So, yeah. I mean, you can't really I don't know. I mean, there's more people watching us tonight than they're watching the live stream on CNN. There's like 63 people watching with 2 million subscribers.
Definitely.
So,
I'm saying definitely, Mike. I'm
so
just
this
concurring
is
what you're saying.
this is I don't know. Like it's good to see that at least they think they have some sort of control of where it's happening and when it's happening. But I really don't believe that it's this much, right? So here it is. So
that's what I'm saying. If it's not this much, first of all, what is your basis for believing whether it's this much or not? right? Like you have to think about why you believe what you believe if you're justified.
Right. So here it is. So here we go. So we're going to Central Kentucky. There's a couple of people with a couple of signs outside, and that's what you got there. So let's go back to that map and pull up the local coverage. So let's go to Oklahoma here. Okay, let's see local coverage. Bad gateway. So there's no local coverage. Okay, let's go to Central Texas here. Let's go to local coverage. Okay, March for Floyd protests. So this is, looks like it's pretty old. Hold on. So let's see if I can get another one here. This one's asking me to unblock ads. Let's go to Phoenix. Let's see, local coverage in Phoenix. Everybody wants $2, man. Stop with this $2 crap. $2. All right, let's go to Tampa. I call someone right now in Tampa and tell me if this is happening. Okay, there's a couple of people, looks like they're in the Walmart parking lot. And some people on the streets. So, these are the, like, remember I read the article early that 93% of the protests are peaceful?
Yes.
That could be,
they are.
like, these ones we're seeing here. Because they look like they're not ripping the place apart. Let's go to Idaho here. Twin Falls. With local coverage. Yeah, just a couple of people holding up signs. It wants me to run ads on this. So it doesn't look
CNN
like...
wants you to believe that it's a peaceful protest, right?
Yeah. Well, we do have the zones of pain, like those areas where, yeah, this is New Mexico, just somebody with a sign. It looks like
I don't
a
think
guy...
we can know. I really don't think we can know exactly because there's so much fake news. And, you know, if CNN wants you to believe that 93% of the protests were peaceful when there was so much violence in Seattle and Minneapolis,
yeah,
obviously this is fake news. I'm more concerned about the National Guard being deployed.
Yes.
And this being sort of it could have been like a wet run for the elections. So when you have these protests everywhere, it's an indication that you have people who have certain opinions, right? And there's going to be a tug at some point. So
Right.
when the elections come, and I think the elections are going to be used to escalate the violence, I think you're going to have all of your people in place, all of the BLM, whoever they are, the Marxists, the Antifas, they're all going to be in place, for this. So I do think that with the elections, it can spread a lot more, And again, I might not believe that this is true, but that because USA Today is sharing something like that, that's what they're going for. You know what I mean? Because it's mainstream media.
The objective, the main objective of this is to I guess put things in place. Like Roger Stone said, if we look at the article that we read earlier, Roger Stone said that if Trump loses the election, that he needs to impose martial law.
So if Trump wins or Trump loses, it's going to be this. It's the same. It's going to be the same outcome regardless. So if Trump loses, the Trump supporters are going to be really upset, and if Trump wins, the Antifa people are going to be really upset, and anyway, it can be fomented into a crisis. I don't think it matters who wins. I think Trump will win, but I don't think it matters.
Okay, it's good to get your point of view on that, because it makes a lot of sense. Red Pill Gary just sent me 99 cents on Super Chat. I'm going to use that to buy half a coffee. Price of coffee went up. And yeah.
How much is coffee now?
Oh, I buy the big tin of instant, like some good dark roast instant coffee, and I just make it myself. And plus, okay. I like to get a good quality cream from the local farms. So the good cream to put in coffee, I like that. I like putting that real non-fabricated or whatever they go through, and just pure stuff, and it's good for you. Helps the brain metabolize.
So are you seeing the price of food go up?
Yes, price of food went up. I don't know if you saw my video I did a week and a half ago.
I saw.
Yeah. So I didn't get much for, I think it was $84. and people in the States are like, I could pick that up in Utah for like $20, and you know, and still more stuff for, you know. So yeah. So
Yeah.
some places are going to get hit hard. But what I do know is that this, would it affect the elite? No. The filthy rich? No, because the filthy rich and the elite are always rich, right? They're always going to be up there, or they're going to be connected. And then you have the middle class, and those are the ones that are, the middle class is the class they're looking to wipe off the map. Thank you, Vlad PFC, for sending me $1. That's going to buy the other half of the coffee right there. Yep, I got a whole coffee right now coming my way, Layla.
Good for you, Mike. That's great.
But okay, so we pretty much covered the whole peace thing, and a couple of other. Maybe you could tell us a bit about UBI. How does that make you feel when you hear that UBI?
Oh boy, yeah. I think I was one of the first to see that article, and then a few days later, Jeff Berwick came out with it.
Yep.
That is, yeah. I mean, that's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure in Canada, and they're not waiting. They're just they're just checking them off. They're just checking them off, one piece at a time. I think it must have been about 2 months ago or so when this person, like a university professor or something like that in Canada, she was saying, she dropped the first hint about universal basic income and how, a lot of people are struggling through the COVID thing. And that, I mean, to me, the Canadian media is so predictable. It's so easy to follow. And it's so easy to see where they're heading. It was very obvious that they were just working on this, and then moving from CERB to what was it, EI, and all of those cosmetic things that it's just a way to channel the conversation, And on BNN Bloomberg, of course, you had someone who said, some economist who was like, he doesn't think that UBI is necessary, just things like that to make it seem like there is actually a debate and a conversation about these things when there isn't. It's already in plan. It's already in place.
Layla, the problem with this is you're going to get, especially because Canada has open borders, except if you're from Europe. It's gonna flood the country with people coming in to get some universal basic income, and not only that, I think it's gonna bring down production by, like, let's say maybe 10-20%, because people might make more money on UBI than working at Tim Hortons now, so production will go down.
So that's, I don't think they're worried about production and productivity and things like that at this point. I think they're just really, they're just after implementing full-on communism and the control that comes with that.
What's going to happen to the fake
I don't really
GDP?
care about. That's right.
What's going to happen to the fake GDP?
Yeah, and the housing and, things like that. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with the Raven on this one. I think that UBI, none of the elites want to pay you to do nothing forever. They're not dreaming about you. I do think it's a transitional step. I think UBI would be a transitional step to further deteriorate society, if you want to put it like that, deteriorate the economy, chop big parts of it. And at some point, it's either these people are going to, right? The population that ages and dies and is never replaced, or you're going to have a full-on civil war that kills off people, or any combination of these, COVID taking lives away, which we know you don't, but they're doing it in other ways, and so I think it's a transitional step. And yes, I think it will attract more people. I don't know what they're going to do about their immigration policy at that point, but I think seeing what they've done so far, I think they're going to keep on welcoming people. And I do think that Canada is something of a depopulation camp. People go there to die, basically.
Come to Canada if you want to die.
And so I think it's a transitional step. I don't think it's going to happen forever. I don't think they're going to keep a 7 billion population on UBI. It's just a transition until probably Industry 4.0 kicks in fully. You know what I mean?
Okay.
5G, automation, all of that, then you don't need people back on the job, right?
You're going to have self-driving cars, self-driving trucks, self-flying planes. It's going to be...
Supposedly, I think, yeah, I mean, you look at the cities in Canada, I mean, I don't know if they're building outside of these cities, but it doesn't look like it's heading there, as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, the Google Smart City in Toronto collapsed, which I'm very happy about, you know.
Yeah, that smart city or whatever they were planning on,
Yeah.
that fiasco
Yeah,
they
it
were
didn't
trying to
work.
pull off.
Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Of
Yeah,
course it's not
Canada's
gonna
too
work.
expensive to operate in. It's too expensive to operate in Canada.
Anything
These
you
are
do in
high
Canada is
infrastructure,
expensive.
high intensive. I think it is. I think for infrastructure projects, I think Canada is very challenging. I don't think it works.
Like
Like
I
if
was
I
telling
were
people,
in
I was
mm,
telling people last week or the week before you were on the show, like if I go to your, like, where you're living there in Syria, and I say, okay, I'm gonna rent this piece of land off you. We're gonna write it on the back of a leaf, and I'm gonna go and build a home there, and you could charge me for the land, and I'm not gonna get a permit, and I'm just gonna get a couple of locals here to help me make the cement and pour some concrete and make me a home while I live on your land. We don't need anything from the city in Syria, do we? We just build it, right?
more or less, you know, it depends on where you are. In my part and where I live, yeah, we tend to be a little bit disconnected from the government.
Right. So I'm
Like
saying I don't
my
have to pay.
community, they don't really like the government, but it comes at a cost, I have to tell you. So for example, there's a trash problem. You know, it takes time, you know, for it to be picked up, for example. There's a bit of a chaotic way of building things. You know, there's empty buildings all over the place. Yes, the war had something to do with this, and that, you know, the dollar and inflation, the cost of building, and all of that, all happening here as well. So that happened. But I think, yeah, I think there's a balance. But it comes at a price. It means that you have to really be connected with your tribe, with your family, you know, and it's like what's happening with me right now. Like because of the issue with my landlord, we were going to go ahead with something legal, and just yesterday I was told that I'm best dropping it off because my dad's cousin is going to step in, and they're going to take things into their own hands. So this happens, and actually my lawyer said he would prefer it that way, believe it or not.
Yeah, but yeah.
So it happens. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I sit and think about, like, we have nothing to do with these things at all. And we were just here visiting. We've never lived in Syria. So my mom and I were just like staring at each other, not really comprehending what's going on. And my mom has always hated this. Like my mom was cursing the day she married into this town. And she was just, you know, praying for someone to take her back to Canada. But I have to wonder about, you know, I don't easily dismiss it. I think it's important to be part of your tribe and to, to have a strong family behind you.
Well, not
as
in the
well.
West.
I think that's
They've taken that apart a decade ago. We have no tribe in Canada anymore.
right.
We used
That's
to.
right. Well, precisely because I understand what happened in Canada. You know, that's why I'm not quick to dismiss it, even though it comes at a price. Like your personal liberties, especially as a woman, you know, become a little bit like you have to really take into consideration everyone else. And yeah, I don't know. There's a balance. It's worth thinking. It's worth thinking about. But I don't dismiss it quickly. I think it's important. I think it's important to be connected with your family and your tribe in these ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Layla. Thank you for the
Yeah.
updates. Thank you for the points of views. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us here tonight.
My pleasure, Mike. Thanks as always for making this happen, and thanks to everyone else. And take good care.
Yes. Have a good night. God bless you.
You too. God bless. Bye.
Bye. That is Layla broadcasting from Syria. Our eyes and ears on the ground in Syria. So she moved. Everything seems okay. And she's doing all right. So that's good. It's good to hear that things are on track here. So let's get over to... Layla has a lot of fans in Canada here. Everyone that comes... I had maybe 20 people visit me this week at the shop. And they came in to see me and say hi. How you doing? How's the family, Mike? We love Layla. We love the Raven. And yeah, the people on this show have fans. Believe me, people are listening to what is happening. Okay, I'm not gonna try and be funny because I'm not really funny. So I used to be a funny guy, But then everything started to get so serious, Okay, let's see what's going on. We got construction underground. Mitch Madden Supreme will be fighting over leaves to wipe your bottom before they... I can't even read what he's saying there. Jem is saying grid civilization are born of great intelligence, and we are lacking in that these days. That's completely right from Jem Rose. Red Pill Gary, choose your battles and know when it's time to cash your chips or put more on the table. Then we got Dictator Dan saying Supreme Cannon. Then we got Supreme Cannon. They'll charge for access to Tress. Okay. So anyways, that was a great call. Yeah, people in the comments saying great call. Guys, I hope it doesn't look like you're getting too much of a disturbance out there. Stream looks like it's kind of balanced itself out. I don't know how to do I can't even find I don't know how to type in here. When I'm trying to type in to search for something, I used to have a little box that would open up. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Maybe somebody could tell me what to do over the thing. You guys are my technical crew too. So when I go here, I don't get that box to type in something anymore. But someone told me to use the Windows key. I don't got a Windows key here. Oh, yes, I do. And do a disk cleanup. But I don't know. It's not showing up here because I can't type it in. And that's really peeing me off. But anyways. So we got Layla back at the comments. Margaret O'Brien saying, I love hearing about the life in Syria. No, because Layla has an understanding. She understands the politics in the Middle East. She understands where things are going in the Middle East. She understands the Mickey Mouse backdoor deals and how things get portrayed in a different light vis-a-vis mainstream media giants on how they want to portray things. And she understands. She's on the ground. She knows her politics really well in the Middle East. Okay, so what else is going on? We got Matthew Elo in the house. We got Mr. Wright in the house. We got Gigi in the house. Anna Key in the house. We got all kinds. Guys, if you want to rewind back to the beginning of the show, Anna Key came on the show earlier with some big talk, discussing and breaking down the UBI in her opinion. Then we had Lord Humongous discussing the breakdown and failure of the system that we're on right now. We got... see who we can get on here. It looks like the Raven's offline. He might be working. Maybe see if Sean isn't sleeping. Sean on the show from an undisclosed location.
Howdy.
Hey, I've been trying to reach you. You're a lot tougher to get than the president.
Oh, well.
Can I show your face or you want to just hide?
I'll hide for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I've accidentally hit the camera.
That's okay. I'll let you hide for a little while. That's all right. Okay, so what is going down with this UBI thing, and where do you think it's going to end up? And that's the first question. Second question, is this civil unrest we're seeing around the world, protests in Ireland, in Australia, in everywhere, in Bahrain, anywhere you could think of as having some sort of a protest or some civil unrest, is this going to lead to a martial law lockdown? And we're seeing protests even in Thailand. So let's start off with UBI. What the heck is going on, and where do you think it's going?
Well, according to the UN, UBI is like the key for them to get to their sustainable development and all that, all their agendas, their 5-year plans, 15, 20-year, 50-year plans. They have it really well thought out and stuff, but I digress. I mean, basically, I think the ultimate goal is to get martial law going, bypass the traditional sort of government. And, it's like the Federal Reserve and Trump, federalizing it or whatever. It's like, well, I think what's really happening is that the government's being privatized. Like it's rolling into the corporatist
They are printing money and
system.
they are buying out they're bailing out the markets. And when they bail out the markets, a lot of times they're buying up a lot of these bonds and stocks, and they're buying up the private sector.
Yeah, they graft, well, these big so-called nonprofits, NGOs, they graft themselves onto governments. Doesn't matter what the government is. It can be capitalist, it can be communist. Eventually you get bigger and bigger government over the decades and generations, and you can shape things a lot quicker, easier, right? Especially with the martial law. So I think it might be Trump potentially being the guy to do it. And I don't know why it's kind of clever. He is playing 4D chess, in my opinion, because, he was giving Gavi a good, he defunded the WHO and everybody celebrated, everybody cheered. But in June, he declared that he would, give I think it was $1.3 billion to Gavi, who funds the World Health Organization. So 4D chess, all right. And it really bothers me, the take the guns and the QAnon stuff. The QAnon stuff, that's not really new. It may be more sophisticated, but it's not new. I think in the 60s and 70s they had White Dove. And White Dove was this insider, knew all this stuff before it came out. And I just think this QAnon stuff is more of a psychological operation just to get people distracted and,
Right.
Trust the plan, do nothing. The government will do it for you. And I think, the issue is, I think we need a different mindset on how we see freedom and how, government would work. Govern is, it's like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Like these people want to govern you well, but nonetheless they still mean to govern you.
But why are
Right.
they in our cereal, our food, our music, our media, our banks, our housing? Why is government in everything and making it turn into crap?
Because it's manipulation and control over your mind. If you can control the food of a population, you can weaponize it against that population. If you can control the money supply of that population, you can also control the mind of that population. I mean, slavery merely evolved into debt.
Right. We're in modern day. We're in modern day slavery with the invisible handcuffs of debt. Debt.
Yeah, and even traditional slavery is rampant around the world today. But here we are, we're all stuck in, the Western slave trade hundreds of years ago, or the Nazis. It's like, well, that stuff is going on today, and nobody's talking about what's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can control the media as well. Even in the 1930s, the radio was very it was very effective in brainwashing people into a belief system and that false dichotomy. I mean, what did you have in Weimar Republic? What were your choices? Well, you had the Communist Party and you had the NSDAP, what became the Nazi Party. Those were your choices. Mm-hmm. And those are not very good choices. And so my sort of perception is I believe in maybe more of a protectorate. Something that's that's what the Constitution was trying to do. It's supposed to protect your rights and your freedoms, not necessarily even protect you, but protect your rights and freedoms. And we've lost sight of that over the generations. And this is not an accident. The fact that we have in the West, the birth control, the eugenics program has been very successful. We have about 15% of people that they can't have kids. They want kids and they can't have kids. Mm-hmm. And nobody ever talks about these things. What about cancer rates? Cancer was unheard of in children.
Oh yeah, back in the 60s and 70s. a child would have cancer, it'd be all over the news, they'd make a movie about it, they'd fly in a doctor from another state, examine the child, take notes, and try and figure out how this child got cancer. And that's all the 60s and 70s, that's how it was. They made a whole movie about that kid. Now it's rampant, and we've grown accustomed to accepting it.
Yeah, and also the euthanization in Canada, and the whatever you may think of abortion, whether you're for or against it, like it's being used to push the line further. Like after the baby's born, it's like, oh, do you want it or not? It's like picking out your a T-shirt at the store. It's like, oh, do you want the T-shirt? You don't want the T-shirt. It's just so. There's the sanctity of the individual, is just being completely obliterated psychologically. I mean, I go into a restaurant to do a pickup order for something that I wanted, and everybody's wearing a mask and staring at me, and it's like those people are conformists.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a conformist, you can't be a moralist.
Right.
Because you know what? If 99% of people agree that something is the truth when it's a lie, it's still a lie. And vice versa. When people think that something's a lie, when 99% of people think something's a lie and it's true, it's still the truth. It doesn't matter how many people. And this is why America was, it was supposed to be, was a constitutional republic, not a democracy per se. It understood the flaws of democracy, especially direct democracy, which is what somebody like Bernie Sanders would want.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's dangerous, because he likes to. Bernie Sanders likes to say it in a way where it makes sense in a way, and it would pick up the educated, and a lot of the millennials will understand it. But realistically, when you look at the back end of what he's saying, it's absolute like destruction.
it is, yeah. But young and naive don't know this, and that's why people like him would like the voting age to be 14, 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already, there's a guy named, I think his name's Mark Poliveros.
Mm-hmm.
He's a channel on YouTube called Canada Poli.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing a analysis, sort of like a expose even on the upper, I think it's Upper Grand School District in Guelph over there.
Mm-hmm.
And they had they're the council saying like, oh yeah, well since it's a white the system was created, but this system was created by white people, that's inherently racist. And you know what, they meant to, amongst themselves, they meant to carbon copy and just tell their other board members about Mark and his questions. He's asking basically fair questions like, what do you do? How do you define intersectionalism? What's the definition of all of this stuff? And they were libeling him, and one of the emails accidentally got to him, and basically the email talking behind his back about him. He's a concerned parent.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that guy in BC who's trying to, prevent his daughter from getting, permanent hormone therapy at I think she's 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What does anybody know at 14 years old? What does anybody, like, I thought I knew everything. And that's the danger of the youth. It's just their naivete gets taken advantage of, and they get solidified in this radicalism. I mean, generations. It started with the whole feminism thing, where it's just these ideologies that drive a wedge between men and women, or this race or that race. This has been going on at least since the 90s heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And it started from that, and like, I'm not sure what the exact numbers is. There's not exactly a study, but I think it probably around 80% of parents don't even pay attention to their child's education, what they're learning. And you'd be shocked if you really sat down and looked at the material that your kids are being taught. They're being taught to hate you, by the way.
Yeah.
They're being taught
Well,
to
my
hate
son,
you
my
and
son
blame.
brings his books home from school. I've been looking and reading with him. It's he's in grade 1, but still, when it gets to that, I'm gonna debunk. He understand. He understands. You know, like my son is very lucky to understand certain things at his age, and he knows. He just kind of smiles and nods and yes, 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 and then comes home and says, "Wow, look what they try to teach
Yeah.
me." You know what I'm saying, right? So
Yeah, but it just gets to you. It's like even if you're skeptical and you watch the TV, you know, back in the day, even in the 60s, 70s, whatever, you know, it gets to you. They've studied this crap, you know, remarkably well, right down. You know this. We've talked about
mhm.
the amount of hertz in the TV, even, and you know, while the internet has a double-edged sword, it can be potentially even worse because what they're doing is they're doing essentially an annex of the Library of Alexandria
Right.
online. So, you know, that's why I've been trying to buy hardcover books and even dictionaries, you know, like we have the um obvious sort of push for division and you know, a lot of people appeal to the dictionary, but the dictionaries have been revised. I mean, to see there used to be a term called anti-white, for example, and you can't find that term in the dictionary now, but in the early 1900s it was in the dictionary.
Hmm.
You know, and these people have been playing this game because if you don't have your words, then you don't have any weapons to defend yourself
That's
with
right. Language.
peacefully.
But they've been
Exactly.
transitioning. You know, we talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago, how they're transitioning the language now so that they obviously feed their agendas. But it's not only that, but they're obviously trying to make us feel bad about ourselves. And
Oh,
when
for sure.
every time someone says, "Oh, I don't know if you remember what happened with the Portuguese and the slave trade and blah 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 in in the 1500s and blah blah blah," and you know what I tell people? That was their conflict, or that was the time it happened. It's their problem, not mine.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. The ontological guilt or original sin
Hmm.
is part of the sustainable development, you know, goals because ultimately the goals of the SGGs is to make you feel bad for your existence, for living, for because that's what it's like it's a just replace the word carbon with people, right? We got to cut down on our people. We got to reduce our
But
people.
then, what are the trees
That's
going to breathe? I don't know if you saw that Discovery
oh
Channel, the Discovery Channel clip
yeah.
I made when I made that video. I made a little compilation video. Those are the Discovery Channel clip there, proving what I've been saying. The Earth's green has expanded 5%, and that's I don't know how many, like 400 and something million acres of green has expanded since 2015.
Yeah,
So
but
we're getting greener.
these people, yeah, but they don't care. They don't care. And then that's why they'll praise California and how great it is when, you know, they have a disease, you know, a feces problem. They're
Cholera.
letting cholera. They're letting out sewage beyond their, you know, a lot of it's just bypassing their checks and balances for the sewage, you know, and then they praise it as such a great, awesome place that's sustainable. These people do not care about the environment. After they want to GMO us, they want to GMO the planet because, like I said before, in regards to the Luciferian sort of occult belief system, everything made in God's image has to go. It has to be made in their image, and
But
that includes,
if
you
the
know, other
Christians,
species.
like, there was a debate in my store the other day. A couple of guys were saying, "No, it's a fairy tale." But okay, that's fine. That's great.
Yeah.
But
Oh, a fairy tale, just like wearing the masks, thinking the masks are gonna save you
right.
from,
But
you know.
people were telling me this the other day. But you know what? But they don't bother me about it, or that I'm Roman Catholic, or tell me that I'm mentally ill. They just
Yeah.
respect that and they leave it, right? But
Yeah, and you don't go to their door saying, you know, oh, have you heard the good word? And then
mhm.
people that do go to somebody's house to say, have you heard the good word? You say, oh, sorry, you know, I'm not really subscribing to this. You know, good luck to you. Bye bye. You
Mhm.
know, it's not like they're banging on your door with a battering ram, you know, breaching your house and saying, tying you down and saying, like, you have to do this, like the government forces people to do, right? The government's telling you to wear a mask. This mask wearing is based on faith,
Mhm.
and it's a religion. It's turned into a religion, and it's no different than the Salem witch trials. It's superstition.
Yep.
Because even dear Theresa Tam, don't these people follow their dear leader Theresa Tam, who always has the right answer?
Hmm.
That she said like a couple of days ago, or a day or two ago, that oh, healthy people shouldn't wear masks. Is it stopping people from wearing? No. No, because the seed's already sown. Like, their goal is to piss everybody off. That's what their goal is to do. And these Antifa types and all that stuff, these are not a lot of people. But if you give this a greater society the illusion that everything's burning down, and I'm not saying that stuff isn't burning down, it certainly is. But if you give them the illusion that things are more chaotic than they are, they get scared. And when
Okay.
you get scared, you do what the government tells you to do. And the government loves that.
Well, speaking of scared, and here it is, guys. This is what I brought up earlier when I was speaking to Layla. After School Satan is a religious organization. After School Satan is an after-school program, a project of the Satan Temple of American Political Activist. It is founded in 2016, and headquarters is in Salem, Massachusetts, United States. So After School Satan is in many, many, many high schools across America. So, I mean, if they are allowed to have an altar and a church or some sort of a temple for it, why can't they just leave religion off the table? I mean, isn't religion and state supposed to be separate? Or I don't know.
Some religions are, I guess, better than others, right? It's just turned into 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. I mean, I used to be egalitarian, but then you realize that, well, all churches and religions have to, submit to the state equally. There's no natural rights involved in that. And I think that, like, even, a lot of communists have infiltrated Christian sects as well. You have the United Council of Protestants, the Protestant Church. They're a centralized body that was long bought and paid for. So what do? They get their priests. They insert communists into priesthood.
Right.
And then it's the same as politics. They insert. It's easier to do with politics, though.
Let me explain. Like, I went into a religious debate again at the shop a few days ago with the other guys, and they were telling me like that people basically, this is not the same people, this is somebody else that was there, was telling me basically that people that believe in any religion need some sort of mental treatment or something.
Right.
And then I said, you know what? If you have to peel back the layers, okay? It's like let's look at religion as like the Roman Catholicism as an onion. I'm right in the middle of the onion. I peel back the Vatican. I peel back the archdiocese. I peel back everything till I get to the middle.
The bureaucracy of it all.
All the bureaucracy, the red tape, and I get right to the middle. And I believe in God the Father Almighty, Creator of heaven and earth, and I believe in Jesus Christ, His only Son, our Lord. And that's it. That's where I'm at right there. And that's it. There's nothing further than that. Because in the church introduced, oh my God, what's it called? When you can't get celibacy in the 1200, and they introduced what's that? Purgatory in the year 1400. So this was all later on. So you peel all that back. I'm in the middle, and I believe in the King of Peace. I believe not to rip off your neighbor. I believe not to screw around with your neighbor's wife. I believe, I believe that, that's my guy, the King of Peace. Don't lie. Don't respect each other, honor thy father and thy mother. If 90% of people honored thy father and thy mother, a lot of people won't be protesting on the streets today.
Yeah, but to be fair, some people don't have any justification to honor their father and mother, because father and mother are separated, and mother's has a boyfriend, and through her revolving door, constantly, and it's just the family unit's been wrecked. But every religion is okay in the globalist eyes, as long as it's a collectivist religion or a collectivist belief set. And so you even have spiritual people involved, like the co-founder of BLM. She is really a big follower of AFA. which is like a West African sort of almost like Ubuntu, Voodoo,
Hoodoo.
somewhere along those, it's along those lines, right? And there's, it's all about the collective and mounting, I don't want to say possession per se. I'm not super versed in Ubuntu or AFA, but these people have these
I've
types
seen
of
Hoodoo.
wacky.
I've seen the Hoodoo religion when I was down in Mississippi.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
I would go to those.
well, because the Haitian, because there's a large Haitian, there was a large Haitian diaspora in the States.
Mhm.
So I think that's they brought it to the States, and there's a little bit of intermingling between that and the Kabbalah and the Freemasons, and even the Black Virgin Mary, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But as long as if it's a collectivist religion, then it's all good. But if you're an individualist religion, you can't. They can't. It's harder, and same with the democracy. I mean, democracy is not perfect either, but it sort of slows these technocrats down. So that's that's what they're doing right now is they're just dismantling the democracy aspect because it's too slow. They want things to speed up, and I have a lot of concerns, like this Trump thing, like, yeah, you're given the two choices, Trump or Biden, and it's a false dichotomy. You got people aren't thinking as individualists. They're not thinking, you're here to protect my rights, not to govern me, not to
Right.
govern over.
People aren't negotiating for themselves, and that's what's keeping
Yeah,
me up at night. And it's scary as
yeah.
f. And
It's beyond that. It's beyond that. Like, I just wanted to emphasize, like, learn the word no, people. Learn how to say no. It's a very powerful word, and everybody's so busy acquiescing and just they don't want to step any toes, go along to get along, and you become you could become a conformist that way. You don't become a moralist or an individual, and the more conformists out there, like the individuals are just gonna say screw it. Like, why should I stand up and stand up for future generations and what they're gonna have to deal with if I have no support? Like, even you would be at least be worth, a society would at least be worth dying for, if a lot more people were inspired by you to stand up to this tyranny. And that's what we're going through. We think we're free. It's like what Ashima said during trends in the housing market. She said the reality that isn't the reality that is.
well,
you
it's the
know
was
the,
the like
if
if
you
you
buy a
want.
house, it's not yours.
Well, if anybody out here wants to watch a good true story on, if you want, watch The Wizard of Oz, because it's all smoke and mirrors till the end, and it's all a make believe, and it's all
It's
a
a soap
show.
opera. It's a soap opera. It's exactly like WWF or WWE or WCW, whatever you want to. It's a drama.
Mhm.
Trump was really big into that. And then that's where he got his acting chops because he's a really damn good actor. And that's what he's been doing this whole time. They play the role of savior, or like they become. He's. It's more dangerous to have somebody to say that, yeah, I'm on your side, I'm on your side, and you don't notice their actions. You just look at their words, and you just hear what you want to hear, and meanwhile they're screwing you. Your monorail's not built, and your whole town is screwed and bankrupt. And like when he signed that deal for trillions of dollars to be dispersed amongst the US, well, guess what? That mostly went to these big corporate welfare, because we are already living in fascism. We already have public-private smart partnerships, which is what the Smart City Initiative is. The city goes bankrupt and the corporations say, well, we'll help you out. And you have to follow the rules of the corporations,
Mhm.
not the rules of government. Governments become just a shell. I mean, who signed our Charter of Rights and Freedoms?
The Canada
Who
Charter.
signed it?
What was Trudeau?
Who's-
Didn't Trudeau
I
bring in the Canadian
it's
Charter of
my
Rights?
yeah, it's my understanding that it was brought forward, but I don't think anybody actually signed the thing.
Well, I think if anybody did sign it, I think in England they would have seen them as treasonous.
Yeah, well, it's like the states they did, right? And we had the upper lower Canada rebellion, and you don't learn hardly anything about that in school, and if you did, it's probably a lie.
Hmm.
So, because we had those types of people, those patriotic types of people that wanted to be left alone, except in the states except in the states they won for a period of time, I'd argue, and in Canada we lost
Hmm.
those people. So, you know, we've just been groomed for so many generations into this very moment, into this year. That's all these things. Like, yeah, I mean, Supreme was saying, yeah, it's very difficult to take over the world. It is, but if you're super ambitious and you're patient and you have an initiative, in your bloodlines, to say, son, you're gonna, help me fulfill this goal, sort of like the Rothschilds, or even the Soros
Well,
family.
look at the Bush Senior son
Yeah,
finished that war for
Prescott
me.
Bush should have been in jail he should have been in jail.
Herbert Walker
Uh,
Bush, yeah, and then his
yeah,
son took
yeah,
over and finished the war off.
yeah. They were supposed to declare that they were supposed to sign a contract, basically saying that they would never run for office ever again,
Hmm.
like any descendants, and but it's always rules for me and not for thee, and they're getting us ready. Like, well, it's starting in Australia where you have security and you have police officers at supermarkets and stuff because they know what's coming down the line. We're not getting told any of this stuff, but it'll become more clear to a certain amount of people. Some people will never figure it out, especially the people in Antifa. And these
Oh,
Antifa,
Antifa
by
is a
the way,
lost. They had this Bible burning thing they had organized on Facebook, and they were gonna bring your Bible to get burned and stuff. It's like, what the hell, man? It's like, seriously?
any means necessary. When they say by any means necessary, they mean that, and then the same with the forest fires and stuff. I mean, like they have one sensational story saying like, oh, it was a gender reveal, when that was one incident, and you have 15 at least recordable incidents. One guy freaking live streamed himself, pouring gasoline all over the woods, and
Hmm.
we've had drier seasons than this is BS. We've had drier Oregon and Washington have way drier seasons than this, and they took away they regulated controlled burning to the point where you can't safely make sure that you do controlled burn to prevent fires. So they made it basically a bunch of matchsticks
Hold on,
scenario.
hold on. We got a new viewer on the channel. Terry saying, finally, people who talk and think like me. Welcome, Terry. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Mike in the Night. People
Yeah,
of the
welcome.
night.
And you're not alone. It's just keep in mind too, like the political solution. We've gone beyond any political solution, if there ever was any, because are any politicians talking about what we talk about, even a modicum of what we're talking about?
Again,
You know,
you go back to, okay, hold on. Yeah, like right now it's election. It's also an election year in New Zealand, and that's another election we're going to follow closely, because apparently the president, Jacinta Ardern, is actually looking at implementing martial law.
Yeah, and that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? And the more complacent society is, the more it's just they're just gonna let it happen. And this is my concern about Canada. We have kind of a few things going against us, and one of them is our sparse population. Because it's not enough to clap and cheer and say, "Oh, we got 20,000 people protesting."
Mhm.
It takes millions.
Yeah.
You want to have at least 10% of our total populations. But here's the thing, Trudeau, since he got put into office, he's been letting in 300,000 people a year. 1 point whatever million people have come in since he's gotten here, and how we had a population of 35 million before he got elected, and now after he got elected it's about
And you're not
37 million.
subtracting the massive swaths of people fleeing to the United States for affordability.
Yeah, we're trying to. If
Well,
we
you
can get
think
over the
California
border.
has a mass exodus? Canada's losing so many people. Like the amount of Europeans that are moving back to Europe, like whether it's Greece. You know that Greece, and I think it was Romania, announced that your great grandmother or grandfather was from Greece or Romania, you're allowed to apply for citizenship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. And this is, again, I've said this before. They want to get rid of the young, because they cost money to rear kids and put them through the public education system, especially. And you want to get rid of as a government, you want to get rid of the old people as well, because you don't want to pay their pensions, and you don't want to pay them, and like what was said before, in the previous caller, they what program has worked? What program has not screwed over the people? I mean, the pension
Everything
funds is
again,
Ponzi.
again. The government's in my cereal, my food, my news, my banking, housing, car insurance. Our car insurance is socialized. Everything.
At the behest of large corporate bodies, these large corporations, bankers, they're one and the same. You'll have people from big corporations go into government and then jump back out of government once they've accomplished their goals. And we just don't we've imported so many people, and not put down the guidelines. Like, you have people that are here, they're like, what do you mean integration? I don't have to integrate. This is what our multicultural system,
Huge. When my family came from Portugal, we integrated. We learned the language. My dad worked really hard, paid off his house, put me through school. My mom worked hard, took care of the family. We really worked together as a bonding, strong family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that just erodes the cohesion of the country, and it balkanizes groups against each other, and that's basically what's going on. They just want everybody to get pissed off at each other. Mask, no mask, vaccinated, unvaccinated, black,
yeah, and people look at you like you burnt their house down with their grandma in it.
Yeah, but they, they're envious. These people wearing masks, they're like, oh, how could this guy not wear a mask? I have to wear a mask. Why does he have to not have to wear a mask? Because I said no.
Right.
Did it ever occur to anybody? No, thank you. I'm not saying you have to be a total dick about it. You just say no, thank you. I mean, I'm using the condition thing. I do have medical issues, but I hate to have to bring them up as an excuse not to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't come to that. And and then they'll say, well, it's just this time. It's just that. Just wear the damn thing. You have people around you, even friends, are like, oh, just deal with it. It's just this one time. What's the big deal? And it's like, yeah, it's just like it's going to be like, oh, it's just a little shot, just a little vaccine. What's the big deal?
No. Let's take this a step back. Oh, it's just some skank weed we found. Yeah, take a puff, and then it leads to this, and then it leads to alcoholism. Then it leads to hard drugs. Then that's how it starts.
Well, or it's just 14 days. Just, chill, stay in your home for 14 days. Next thing you know, you can't leave.
Like our second or third caller, Steve Thomas. He's on what, week 26 of lockdown?
Yeah. Yeah, and there, you know what? There's more of us than there are of them. It's just a lot of us are brainwashed, and that's because for too long people have just neglected I'm all for optimism where it's due. But we've spent so time being delusionally optimistic and ignorant, especially with their own kids' welfare, that we're all kind of reaping the consequences of that. Your kids hate you, or they hate your generation, and even if they don't hate you personally, they're gonna blame your generation for
everything
this and
gets
that
blamed.
And
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right,
so,
Sean. We're running into our third hour. We've been talking for a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
And, we'll
just have some self-respect, guys. Learn to say no. Learn to stand up for yourself. Because you're gonna get walked on if you don't. You're gonna be put last if you don't put yourself and your family first.
That's right.
Yeah. But
we'll
thanks
have you
for
on
having
in
me
the
on.
next 2 weeks. We'll have Supreme Cannon on next week if he's got time, because we had him on last week winding down the show. We have you on this week. We'll get Supremo on next week, and then you could come back and we could start unpacking this I don't know, election, or we could start unpacking some other things that are happening Okay,
Oh
buddy?
yeah, so I got Gainsbourg. So Justice Gainsbourg passed away. So that should be pretty interesting. I have my own thoughts on that, but I'll reserve them for next time.
No problem, buddy. It's our third hour. Sean, thank you so much. And let me know if you ever want to, because you're actually a very good-looking guy. You look good on camera. So anyways, okay, Sean, thank you so much. God bless, and we will be talking soon.
All right, bless you guys. Bless you, Mike.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That is our man, Sean. We spoke for like 40 minutes. Good old Sean, relocated, taking care of himself, putting himself first, and that's what it is all about. Guys, if you're just tuning in, rewind back to the beginning of the show. Pick up all our callers. We got some really good callers on tonight. Next week, hopefully we get the Raven on. I think he's working because he's off of Skype. He's off of everything. So we'll get the Raven on next week. We'll get, hopefully we can get Supreme Cannon to wind down the show next week if he can. And then we could get a couple other callers that want to call in for the first time. We need to a word in from Dano just to make sure he's doing all right. Sorry, guys, we just disconnected and reconnected there. We're having really terrible internet tonight. It's been like this all night. I'm not sure why. So, thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Amy, Lord Humongous, Anna Key, Supreme Cannon, Michael Anthony. Just found the stream. Thank you for joining us. Supreme Cannon, Steve Stevens, the Dawn. The Dawn, I haven't seen the Dawn in so long. Thank you so much for coming back on. Vlad PFC, Johnny D, Mr. Wright. Who else we got? Blunt News. Maybe we get Blunt back on. Last time we spoke to him, he was on Barbara Streisand's boat. So maybe we could get him back on the show next week and give us a little insight on what's happening in his neck of the woods or what he's feeling. Maybe we get him on talking about a little bit of crypto or cryptocurrency because he knows a little bit about that. And for the $2 super chat, guys, thank you so much for the $2. I really appreciate it. And we are winding it down. It is Mike of the Night. Again, if you're just joining, go back to the beginning.
Mike in the Night,
share
and the
this.
Gemini crew. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world. Give this page another turn, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Everything's alright when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Giving the world light when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Sometimes things are just absurd, so let's just talk about the world, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world. Give this page another curl, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
Remember, everybody out there, take care. And if you can't take care, please stay safe. And thanks for watching.